Emilio, the HoneyBadger Urrutia!
Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the HoneyBadger Hour. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the HoneyBadger Hour. It's your boy, the Badger, and we are back. Thank you guys for tuning in, and don't forget to like and subscribe on the little notification bell below so you can get updates whenever we pop and drop off some new episodes. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the little button below. And this week, we are back live in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a big one. Back for his long-awaited arrival for the second time on the HoneyBadger Hour podcast. I want to say the last time we had Alex on was in 2020, mid-coronavirus. We were still training at the other gym. Competing, I think. There was a lot going on. Back for the second time. He's a black belt. He is now the owner of the biggest martial arts gym in the world. My man, pro fighter, black belt, entrepreneur, business designer, all right, clothing company designer, all of the above, the big dog, Alex Schild. Hey, yes, sir. We're back, baby. My man.
What's going on, man? Yeah, I flew all the way here, man. I flew all the way here from Thailand for the HoneyBadger Hour. I think I told you, you're asking me to be on for like the past few years, and I said I want to do it in person, so I made it.
Man, how long I've been trying to, since I moved back to Miami, dog. It's almost been 3 years I've been trying to get you on. We've had a couple planned up. We've had a couple plans.
Yeah.
And then we were gonna do one when you were like, I don't know, did you have your camera guy set up that day, or we were just gonna do it off your phone, right?
Yeah, we were gonna do it, but every time there was something with you and then something with me, and then it always felt weird. Like, I know, like, everything since COVID is just like, you know, over the internet and everything, but man, like, yeah, I saw like everything. You built the studio and do like everyone in person. I was like, man, I gotta do it. You had Izzy on, you had Volk in person, you had everybody. I was like, man, I can't be on no what do they call it? What's the streaming? I don't know.
Zoom.
The Zoom.
Yeah, that's so
on the Skype,
true,
you know.
bro.
So yo, we did the first one we did the Lads cast.
That was the second one with you, right?
We did it. I
don't know. I forgot. The last cast was good, bro.
Lads
Super
cast.
underrated.
We just had it was during all that, you know, lockdown. We just all got in the couch with like 5 of us on there telling good stories.
You know, your first one was also on the couch. I was in that old house in Katu,
yeah.
Remember we did one when we were like in the pandemic for sure. I remember like Paulo was listening to, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Paulo.
Yeah, we had an episode. I forgot about that. And you know what's funny? We had a couch episode back in the day because I've tried a bunch of different. The
desk, the couch.
We had the tables, you know, and then we're doing the couch. But dog, I hate the Zooms. The Zooms are the worst,
yeah.
bro.
I mean, it got so like normalized over all this, but man, in person with everything, meetings, podcasts, it's all better, you know. So I waited. I came all the way here, bro, just for this. It was a long flight.
If people can't see, I got the Songkran special. All right, a lot has changed from the last time we were on the podcast.
For sure.
A lot of things have going on. So we are here. Last time I saw you in person, you were pitching the idea of, I don't even think we knew the name that it was going to be called Bang. I don't know if you had the name and the idea already yet, but I remember the last time we were all together in the same state or in the same city was in Phuket, mid-coronavirus, and you were pitching the idea to the boys about the vision you had in your head of making what is now BangTao MMA and Muay Thai, which is absolutely mad, bro.
Yeah.
How did the idea to start this, because basically a super gym off the start where it's like you kind of went like a different route than most people go, right? Like most guys will start like in a small, they'd be like, oh, I remember when he started in a little fucking warehouse in the back, you know?
Yeah.
But you had an idea and you rolled with it, man, and you put the vision together, and now 3 years later, how long is the anniversary now? What's
2 years. We just had our 2-year anniversary in April.
2-year anniversary from the gym, and it's been up and away. So how did the idea come into mind to make this gym?
I mean, man, we were all in Phuket at the same time. I mean, I think for many years, all of us were out there in Phuket, fighting all over the world, coaching, cornering each other. There was always like this thing in the background of like, man, like it would be cool if we had our own gym. We always had that. I don't know. A lot of fighters, I think, do think that. But we were just always busy. And when we were at Tiger, everything was good and, getting recognition and that. But we never had time. We're fighting and coaching. Every weekend there was something. Yeah. And when everything locked down, it just actually gave us the time to kind of slow down, like everybody, like it was hard, but we slowed down a little bit and gave us some perspective. And early in 2020, no one really had an idea of like how long everything would last. You know, we thought the 2 week, remember that? Flatten the curve, all that,
Oh,
you know?
flatten the curve for 2 weeks. I
Flatten the
forgot about
curve.
that, man.
So we didn't know, you know, we were just kind of going like, okay, like see how things are. And, you know, look, everything locked down. And just like like most people that have gyms and that fight and coach are like, we had mats. Cause I had I also run a jiu-jitsu tournament. So I have 80 square meters of mats, of these puzzle piece mats. So all of a sudden, like the house became the gym, you know, as you did too, right? I think I maybe gave you some mats or someone else had mats. We just put out mats in the front yard and we were training, and we didn't know when it would end. And to be honest, I remember after a few months, I think as you do, you were the one that was getting kind of antsy, and you're like, man, like I don't think I want to stay in Phuket anymore. And you talked about Bangkok, and you talked about leaving, and yeah, I think we had like early chats, like, you know, super early, like, man, what are we gonna do? You know, what if this never ends? And yeah, I think you had already gone to Bangkok at that point, and I was like, well, fuck, like, man, Emilo made a decision. Like Emilo took the chance and took the risk, and that always just like was in the back of my head. I just said to myself, I said, hey, I don't know when this is gonna end. You know, either I'm gonna leave Thailand and go pursue something else, you know, or I'm gonna give this a shot. And I brought the boys together, George and Frank Hickman and Woody, and we had this discussion at my house. And I remember it was like a long discussion.
That was before Bangkok. That was before I went to Bangkok.
That was before, yeah. I remember that.
Hearing that. I remember that discussion, bro. I remember you talking about going to BangTao.
Yeah.
And I thought you were crazy. I'm like, what? I was like, nah, dog. You can't get away from Tiger. You can't. You have to be here.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, I'll tell you, we didn't want to go. I'll tell you, bro. Like, we like that Chalong. Like, for people that don't know, like the fight, they know about Phuket, but maybe not Fight Street. A lot of people do. The Soi Tayed. That road and the area around it is like the mecca just for fitness and fighting. They got everything: supplement shops, tattoo shops, gear shops. Everything is what you want right there. You know, you don't even have to really drive. You can walk around if you want. And yeah, it was hard for us to kind of leave what we felt we had built. We were all there for 10 years, man. We felt we had a big impact on that community. So yeah, in the beginning, kind of the idea was to kind of stay in that area. So we did. We wanted to stay there. We started looking around and looking at different properties. You know, it's kind of just like figure out how to do this, you know. And like from the first day that like the boys said yeah, like the next day I was just like, all right, how do we do this? And just like, man, I run jiu-jitsu tournaments as well, and I've always been like this. I just figured out, and I just drive around on my motorbike, look for a spot that I think can have a tournament, or I think this could be a gym, try to find a phone number and call somebody, get a Thai person to help me out. And we did want to stay in that area. There was actually one location not far from the Soy, actually in Soi Palai, where Phuket Fight Club is. I thought that would be the new Soy. I thought I was like, okay, this will be like, you know, it's far enough from, you know, Tiger. You know, we might piss some people off when we open a gym. Let's get away just a little bit, but we can still kind of use what's in the area. And the first property we looked at, I remember I was like super excited. Like I was like, I could see the vision. I had all of it. I was like, this is it. This is, you know. And somewhere through the process, the landlords, the owners of the land just cut it out. They said, hey, we don't want to rent it for a gym. It's going to keep it in the family. We're going to open up like I think they opened like a zoo or something. It was near the zoo. And yeah, we just had this mindset like when all that was happening, okay, no matter what happens, just keep going. Like the gym was an idea before a location. Okay, that location's not there. It doesn't mean the plan's over. So we just kept going. And yeah, a friend of ours, Chris McDonald, he was kind of advising me and mentoring me from the beginning on some stuff. He lived up in this area, so I would go up there to like have like meetings with him and get some advice from him. And yeah, just there was a few things that happened, and we ended up moving up to BangTao, a place that we had never been. In 10 years in Phuket, I'd never been to that area. Like maybe once to go to Catch Beach Club. That was like the place that like we would take a van and we would go party on the weekend. We would like go up there, and then that was it. But yeah, it was, I mean, kind of the rest is history, you know. It just seemed like a good idea and just went with it. And the boys were really resistant, I'll be honest.
I remember when you said, we should go to BangTao. There's nothing over there. That's where the people with money have. And you were talking about, like, appealing to the locals over there. Like, that's where all the expats with money, I guess. Like, because Phuket, right, like, the area where we were at, it's kind of like a Patongish vibe where, like, people are in and out so much, you know.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of hotels.
Each little town has their little areas, you know.
It's true, yeah.
But my philosophy, I mean, I had a lot of ideas. I thought it was good to get away from Tiger and get away from the Soy, just out of sight, out of mind, you know, don't like ripping anyone off. And my other idea was, if you want to make money, go to the place where the money is.
Yeah.
So everyone always thought that the Upper West Side. You know, it's the Upper West Side of Phuket. That's where all the money is. We always knew that for years. Like we're like the low class dudes down in the south, right?
True. Yeah, because you want to go all those nice beach clubs are all up.
It's all up north, and we always said that, and there's international schools up there, like a lot of wealthy people, and you know, it kind of in my mind was number one, I wanted to be near the beach. You know, we lived in an island for 10 years, but I really went to the beach, to be honest, living in Geelong.
It was really far.
It was far.
35 minutes?
30 minutes each way, and then the police checkpoint at the circle. So it was like,
it
was hard. It was hard, and we're training for fights. So like, train in the morning, I'm not going to go like drive an hour to the beach, you know, so.
No, it's exhausting. And you're in the sun, you don't want to go back to the
Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to be near the beach, and I wanted to be somewhere different. And like I said, my idea was if you want to make money, go where the money is. And I think that's like a kind of good rule. You know, it's there's two like philosophies in kind of anything you do. One is location. I mean, you have to be in a specific location, and the other is build it and they will come. These are opposite things.
Yes.
Yeah, these are opposite things. One is you have to go to where you're supposed to go, and the other is I'll go there and they'll come.
Yeah.
So it's very funny. I mean, that's what I like about business. You know, like it's so creative. There's no rules. There's rules, there's guidelines, kind of, but you can do anything. And just like in fighting, if it works, it works. No one can tell you what to do.
Yeah, it's like an art in its own, huh? Like
it's
business
art
is like
its
own
own.
art
Yeah,
because like
absolutely.
yeah, you can be a strike. How many fighters we know they do things so differently? Everybody.
Dude,
we have fighters that we think they're crazy, but they're in the UFC right now,
straight up.
smashing it. And then we got guys that did everything right the whole way, and then they're also in the UFC smashing it. So you're just like, yo, there's no way you can cut this cake a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, it's funny now that I kind of think about it a bit more. You talk it out, you know, like that's one of the things I love about, especially MMA. That's really the most free form of fighting. You can pick your style. You can pick anything. All the other styles are limited. Jiu-jitsu's got to be submissions, kickboxing, Muay, you're right, they have their things, but MMA is the most free form of fighting. Even like Israel Adesanya talked about that one time. He had such a great career in kickboxing, but he's like, I want to be a complete fighter. And same Brad Riddell. You know, they had such good striking backgrounds, but they knew. And that martial art, the path, the way, they knew that there's more to it. But yeah, there's like a freedom, you know, like, and that's I think why I do like, you know, doing more and more business. I like it. Of course there's things you got to follow, but you can create things your own way with your investors or with how you set things up or how you market, how you promote. And yeah, it's funny, we were talking about this earlier, like in MMA there's so many ways, not only like styles you can pick, I'm a grappler, I'm a striker, but like lifestyle too, man. I know really high level people have been champions. They go to bed at 8, they wake up at 6, they eat all the clean food, they do all this, and that works. That's what they do. I know a lot of other high level fighters who don't do that, you know, who are out there, you know, having a good time and trying to find that balance and still are champions. Yeah. You know, we were talking about Carlos Prates, the Brazilian. We knew him back in Phuket Fight Club, and super happy. He just got a super nice knockout the other weekend, and I love that dude, man.
Those nasty knees, bro. That's the thing. People don't know about those knees.
His
like
Muay Thai, his length.
Yeah, bro. It's good to see. Yeah.
But even him, he's getting all these viral videos because he's smoking a cigarette during training camp. He's getting knockout bonus. He's smoking a cigarette. But that's his thing. You can say whatever you want about him. That's his thing. He's winning. He's doing his thing. So there's always something different to it. I think. Yeah, it's
he has over 100 striking fights. Yeah. And that's before MMA, clean. So it's like...
And knockouts. He's got that thing, too. He knows how to knock people out.
But the thing is, it's like, man, after you fight 100 times, it's like... I don't think cardio becomes like the least of your concerns. I think you just know... Once you learn how to fight, you know how to fight, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it's different. It's weird, right? Yeah. I don't know how that works, you know?
Top Muay is like that as well, you know? Like, a lot of these Thai guys, they've had 150 fights. They smoke cigarettes, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying go smoke cigarettes is going to make you in the UFC, but, you know, there's a lot of ways to it. And I think that's cool.
That's definitely like a Thai thing, right? Like the Thai fighters, they'll be smoking cigs.
Joe Schilling smokes cigarettes. I think he's talked about that online.
He does, right?
He'll smoke a cigarette with his hands wrapped. I remember.
Yeah. Oh my God. Top Muay would smoke cigarettes in the back, like at the weigh-ins. And I remember when I was sharing a room with him one time. I'm like, yo, it smells like smoke in here. And this is before his fight. It's not like the after party. I'm like, yo, why does it smell like smoke in here? This guy was smoking cigarettes in the bathroom. Why didn't we just go outside? You know?
I got a funny video on my phone. So Top Muay, he was fighting in the road to UFC.
Yeah.
In Singapore, and the day of the fight, you know, you're packing up, getting ready, and I mean, man, we know each other. We've been on the same shows. We've cornered each other. That fight day is like, you know, tough. You gotta wake up and that's it. You got to do it. You're already there. You're like, you know, there's a lot of like, you know, you got to prepare and get yourself physically ready. Make sure your stomach's good. So I go into Top Muay's room. We got to leave in like 30 minutes, bro. And he's sitting on the balcony smoking a cigarette with chopsticks because he didn't want his hand to smell like cigarettes. I got the video. I got the photo on my phone, dog. He's sitting there, his little Asian squat. He's got chopsticks just puffing away in a cigarette. And he won the fight, bro. He won the fight. And it's really funny after that fight, too. I was so happy for him. You know, like I've been with him since like day one, and right after the fight, we have a beer, we walk outside, and he's still like, I think he's still in his wraps, he's still in his kit. We walk outside, he wants to smoke a cigarette, and I take a video and I send it to the boys. I was like, man, this is good banter. I'm gonna send it to the boys. I go back inside. Like 30 minutes later, I look up, I'm scrolling on Instagram, and MMA Junkie shares this picture. It was a picture or a video that I took. And I was like, my phone's been hacked. I was like, what is going on? I was like tripping out. But I think George Hickman had sent it to like one of his reporter friends, and they put it up. Wow. And it went viral, and it's his thing, you know, like, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, man. Damn. So you had, so you guys got BangTao right now, right? You got George, you got Frank, you got all the boys there, huh? You got Woody, you got the whole, and then we got Pete running the kettlebells, right?
The kettlebell king, man.
Wow, man.
Yeah, man. Brad Riddell's.
Oh, that's right.
Brad Riddell's been like, yeah, Brad Riddell's amazing. Obviously doing kickboxing and just a super big part of our team. I always consider him like team captain, man. That guy's like, not only like his knowledge for combat sports across everything. Yeah. Striking, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, like a real student. I've known a lot of people over these years, and that's like one of the most curious students, hard workers I've ever come across ever.
He's very curious.
Yeah.
He like loves everything.
He's very curious.
Like wrestling, and, he deep dives into everything.
Everything.
Like wrestling.
I remember even back in the day, man. Like this was like, I think, but he just started like training grappling. Was like kind of thinking about getting, and he's still just like having a good kickboxing career, and I would go over to his house like after morning practice or whatever. Just go, he's like, yeah, let's go grab lunch. And you go there. He's having lunch. He's watching like the NCAA finals wrestling. And then the next day he's watching like a boxing fight. And the next day he's watching a gi match. And it's just like, it's never stopped. Never stopped. So, yeah, that's been a really cool thing about the gym. I will say, like, working with our friends and being able to like hire our friends. And there's always like a little dynamic of like, we're the owners and we started it, but like, and hiring somebody, but like those are our friends, and to give them an opportunity, and that's what I feel BangTao is. Like, of course we did start it, but to be able to give, like, let's say Peter Fornick doing his kettlebells, and now like his kettlebell seminars are blowing up, and he's making like his own name for himself within us, which I like. You know, before when we were at our other gym, it was only about the brand. Yeah. And after years, we all hated it. You know, we were all just kind of like, you know, pissed off about it, but I think something that we want to do, and me, George, Frank, Woody, and we've discussed, is we want to like give a place where like our friends can also, of course, like be there and support us, but like, man, do their own thing too. And yeah, it's super cool. Anwar's there. You know, Anwar's a guy from back in the day at we used to work together. So yeah, we try to build that, and not, I hope it comes across like it, but not just make it about ourselves, like make it about like everyone could also benefit. So
now, and you have a whole community there. You have the whole you have a fitness area that's just as popping as the Muay Thai.
It's crazy.
You have like you have a few different entities there that are just all within each other. Like you have a whole fitness program that has its own group of people, right?
Yeah.
The Muay Thai is completely, you have your own group of Muay Thai, and then you have the MMA area.
Yeah.
And then on top, and you also have the jiu-jitsu, you also have the gi, Brazilian jiu-jitsu section. Yeah. They're all like little entities within themselves on this super facility, which is wild, you know?
Yeah, we like so we first made the name, so just so people don't know BangTao, the reason it's because we're at BangTao Beach. And it was really funny. We were like, with the night before, we had to submit these papers for like our name, and we're like, man, we're putting out all these things, like what do we call it? We had all these names, they all sucked, but let's just like put them down. And then I think I might have said, I was like, what about BangTao Muay Thai? You know, like, it's a cool word. It sounds weird. I think foreigners, Westerners can say it very easily. It sounds like something kung fu, like kung pao, you know, it sounds like that. And then when people ask us, they say it's because we're at BangTao Beach. But the original kind of name in the branding, like it says BangTao Muay Thai and MMA. And as it's kind of progressed, it's really cool. Like the brand has just become BangTao, and we're branding kind of each section. So we have BangTao BJJ, BangTao Fitness, BangTao Muay Thai, BangTao Kettlebells, you know, and you can call it what you want. And so we're trying to kind of brand it like that. And yeah. No, it's a trip, man. It's a trip. Yeah, each section is pretty crazy. It's kind of like taking on a life of its own.
It's got to be a lot of work. It's like, how's the transition from being from athlete to coach to now business owner? It's got to be like a huge, all three different categories within itself that you're still trying to, which I feel for you. Sometimes I feel like you're trying to maintain all three. You got to maintain your athleticism. You know, you're a black belt. Sure. So you got to be a coach. You got to roll your students. You still got to train to be. You got to remain an athlete to train with your students. Yeah. But then after you go to class and coach, then you got to deal with all the fucking, all the paperwork, all the business, and it's like, I mean, I know with running a business, like everybody knows how to run a bar. Everybody knows how to run the barbershop better than the owner of the barbershop, you know? So you got to deal with all those factors right now. It's got to be no joke, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think always, like, I can look back at, let's just say the last 12 years that I've been in Phuket, and you can look at my whole life, but just say the past 12 years, I've always tried to do different things, like little things here and there, try to, like, work to get a job so I could train more, and then, you know, starting, like, Sabaigi, my clothing company, very young, not a lot of money, but learning lessons from that, starting jiu-jitsu tournaments. I've always tried to learn different things. And as we were at, you know, our other gym for so many years, I was able to kind of see from perspective of a customer, perspective of an employee, perspective of a fighter, and perspective of a coach. I wasn't a manager, I wasn't an owner, I didn't see that stuff, but I had perspective from that. So I think what we've tried to do with this gym, if we tried to, what gives us, there's a lot of advantages that we have, I think, of the gym, whether it's location, it's the branding, the people that we train with, you know, whatever it is. One of our biggest advantages is that the owners are the coaches and the fighters. So, like, I was just trying to build a gym, what we want. What is our ideal gym? What kind of clothes do we want? What kind of music do we want playing? Like, where do we want things? And then even dealing with customers, I think they see that. You know, we're there every day, and they see that we're trying to, you know, we're not trying to trick anybody. I always tell people when they come, I say, we're not trying to trick you. If you want to go check out the other gyms, yeah, go do a week here, go do a week there. And if this is the place for you, come train here. And, but yeah, back to the even kind of your original question, to balance that. I think in the beginning, I definitely tried to take on a lot. But because I kind of had the vision and I wanted things a certain way, and I can, you know, you guys know me, I can be a little bit OCD about things.
Yeah.
I want things like kind of a little specific, but if I really believe it, I really kind of push it forward. So it was super hard. And one of the biggest helps we ever had was, bringing in Will Elliott. And Will, so if those who don't know, Will's the guy who was the managing director at Tiger when it really blew up. And, through some transition years, he left, went to some really great gyms as well, was working at Evolve, learned some really great things there, working at Diaz Combat Sports in Vancouver. We hadn't seen him in like 6 or 7 years. We hadn't talked to him. And it kind of came full circle. He came back into our lives. We knew he wanted to move back to Thailand, and he really was that missing part of our team. You know, I've got the jiu-jitsu and the coaching. I've got the creativity. I've got vision. I got things that I like to do. And obviously, George with the MMA, Frank with the wrestling for MMA, Woody with the fitness, Brad with the kickboxing, Pete with the kettlebells. I mean, everything. The list is long. Anwar with the mobility. And bringing in Will for really that kind of business and business development and growth has been like definitely a huge weight off my shoulders and the boys as well. And because he knows us for so long, I've known him for 12 years. He gave me my first job.
Yeah.
He gave all of us our first job. And he knows us. He knows where we come from. He knows our goals. He knows everything. So, yeah. And, you know, in terms of, you know, being able to be an athlete, I train every day. You know, I'm a small guy, so I gotta roll hard every day. There's always gonna be people that come into the gym that want to test me and roll with me. Yeah. So I can't get caught slipping. Like, I gotta protect my mats. Yeah. So I'm always make sure I'm in shape. I always make sure I roll. I always make sure I roll with hard people, and I roll with everybody. And so that keeps my mind better as well. I do notice as well too is the more I'm focused and my mind is good on business, and I train hard at the same time, it makes my mind more creative and better for that. And so I think they feed off each other. So trying to do it all, but trying to find that balance, you know.
How crazy is it that like your physical unlocks the mental?
Yeah, bro, 100%.
Like,
yo, the strong body, strong mind, 100%, bro.
It's
100%.
It's correlated 100%. And we're so lucky as athletes that, because, you know, it's crazy. We're both, like, in kind of different stages of our life. But coming from a crazy start, like, from fighting, you know, half naked in a cage, you know, now, like, you're running a business where you got the likes of, who would have known, like, in 4 years ago that, like, you would be having Craig Jones, John Jones, George St. Pierre doing seminars at your gym.
Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a bigger 4 names than...
No, in
between
combat
Volkanovski,
sports.
okay, Volkanovski, featherweight champion, pound for pound king for the last 2 years. John Jones, like the other pound for pound. GSP, the only guy who argues with him for being the GOAT. And then Tyson Fury, It's crazy. But it all started with the physicality of the training, you know?
Sure.
Now I'm doing comedy, but with my physicality training, that led me, like, martial arts led me to comedy. But And you always tell me all my confidence, whatever I'm doing good in life, I have to be doing good on the mats first. If I'm not training in shape, everything else is not as good.
For sure.
It's crazy, the physicality and mental,
Yeah, I don't
like
think
that.
I think we've learned it just from our own experience in life, and they don't preach it enough. But like, and obviously now more and more like health and wellness is like being like, but strong body, strong mind. Like, and we talk about like confidence, and people have ego, whatever it is. Like the thing that helps you walk through life and gives you the ability to do things, whether it's business, talk to a girl, talk to a guy if that's what you're into. Just do whatever it is. And so I do make it a point. It's tough because I am a smaller guy, and people come after me and they want to be like, man, who's that little guy?
Yeah.
But I roll hard. I always try to teach my best. I always try to roll my best. And yeah, it's helped with everything. My mind goes crazy. You know how it is too when you have like those hard rolling sessions and you're like in that flow state, whatever it is, and your brain starts to connect. And I think they feed off each other, man. They really do. So yeah, I'm super, super grateful, man. I get to go to this gym every day, handle some admin in the morning, do a bit of business stuff, answer some emails, talk to some people. I teach my class at 10 o'clock. I roll super hard, and then I got a little break in the afternoon after lunch, and then back to it, teaching PTs and meetings in the afternoon. It's crazy, man. It's all day. It's all day, man. But it's super fun, man. I think we do have good perspective as well. Like it's hard. It's hard. Starting a business with your friends, starting this big business.
In a fucking second world country, in Thailand, where it's a little
second
bit of...
world, I don't know. You know,
what do you call Thailand? It's not first world.
I don't know. It's definitely not first.
Is it first world?
No, I think
It's not first world because you can pay to play there, dog. It's a little bit sketch, dog.
Yeah, I don't know what they define first world. We're gonna look so dumb right now, but it must have something to do with running water and drinking water.
Oh, for real?
I would assume first world has something to do with can you drink the drinking water?
You can drink Singapore water in Singapore.
Yeah.
In Japan, you think you can drink the water in Japan? Probably, right?
I don't know. Yeah, we're probably too dumb to answer that question. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough, but I think what I'm really proud of, and man, things are hard, of course. Like especially like at the scale of the shit we're doing at, like it's hard. It's a lot of moving pieces. But I do think like even on the hard days, like us, the boys, we've been able to keep like good perspective of like, man, like we're doing business, but like it's a fucking awesome business. Like it's martial arts and fitness and on an island, and we can at the end of the day kind of do whatever we want. So yeah, it's definitely tough. And like I said, some days are easy, some days are tougher, tough decisions, tough meetings, but just try to keep perspective that we have a fighting gym with our friends.
It's crazy. But listen, a lot of great fighters have made gyms, but very few that have had like I think that like you know what you want in the gyms that you've been training at, so you're able to like learn from the things that seeing it backwards in the marketing, putting the marketing and like just the layout. Most people when they make a gym, they work with what they got, and they work around it. But with you guys, you said this is what we want, and then you made it, which is like a whole different way to come at it. I think
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've always kind of had my mind doing different things, like explore fighting, explore different business things, try to figure it out. I mean, you've known me for a long time. You see me, my shitty little motorbike, driving around, just trying to figure it out. And
Can't
people are like,
you still have that motorbike, bro.
No, I got rid of it. I got a new one. I got a new one. But people are always like, but I look back on things, and that's the way my life goes. Like, I think, you talk about like the most badass fighters maybe don't always have that other sense, but maybe that's why I didn't achieve the things I wanted to in fighting, because I wanted to coach. I wanted to try different businesses. And that's just how it goes, man. I had a great time. Like, I fought all over the world. I had really good experiences. I traveled the world with my friends, getting in fist fights with people, and got paid to do it. It was crazy.
Got paid and didn't pay for any tickets,
So, you look back at it, and I think every athlete has those things that, like, they look at, and whether they finished in high school or whether they're like, man, I should have done this, should have done that. But, kind of my foot and my mind in different things is ultimately, obviously, what I feel is what kind of held me back as a fighter, but it's made me who I am today. And yeah, it's just where I am, and that was my kind of story, and that was my path. And that's also why I'm really grateful to have jiu-jitsu, where jiu-jitsu, you can roll hard every day. It's not like kickboxing or Muay Thai. Like, you can't really spar hard every day, especially when you're getting older. But I can still fulfill the competitiveness in me, like even in a roll. Not that we're trying to fight each other, but two good guys roll with each other. You're pushing each other. You get to roll with each other. And so I still get to achieve that daily. I think that's such a great thing of jiu-jitsu. You can do something super hard every single day. And
you can roll hard every day. Like, you can't
every
spar
day.
hard. You spar hard,
No,
and
of course
you're going to be
not.
hurting a little bit, like my shin and stuff.
No, and I get people, man, the gym at the class, like, you should see it. Like, I mean, you've seen it on, like, pictures, like, every day, man. Like, this no-gi class in the morning, like, nuts, man. And
how
like,
many people on the mats in those classes?
Man, average is like has been like 60 people, and that's the average. So like less is like 40 or 50, and that seems small. The higher end is like 80, 90.
80, 90.
I'll say it. Listen, it sounds crazy. People are like, man, 90 people. I don't want to train a class like that, but I'm super proud. Like, you come to the class, the average level is very good. People from all over the world, all different sizes, men and women, and people get along, man. And we just have a lot of fun. Like, you know, like, I'm sure that maybe a bigger class like that isn't for some people, but I am proud. They come one day and then they continue to come throughout the class, and I get to roll with, like I said, I get to train with like, man, like some of the highest level fighters from all over the world, and not only be able to work with them, and I think a lot of the like, now that I don't fight anymore, I don't have that thing anymore. Like, I still, of course, I have like, okay, when I roll with this person, I'm gonna show them who I am and all this, but it's less of like, let's say somebody does something cool to me, I'm not gonna, you know, it's not gonna like ruin my day.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's just getting older, and also realizing like, man, these young kids coming up are just like so good. I mean, I'm 35 now. We have kids like half my age, teenagers, like little black belts. They've been training since they can do everything. They're training since they were little kids. This kid, Shea Williams, he's fucking, I think he just turned like 16 or 15, like so young. This kid from Liverpool. He just won over the weekend, 20-0 as an amateur. But he's an amateur. It's not like, oh, make him go pro. He's like 15 years old. He's like a little black belt. And it's so funny. He came last year, and he was much smaller. And so I was still able to kind of like big brother him. And just before I left, he came, and he was much bigger and much stronger. And, man, he was a handful. So, yeah, these kids are just so, so good. And I think as getting older, and also letting go a bit of that, like, not the competitiveness, but just like I have to win every single second of every single roll of every single whatever, is like definitely freeing. You know, it's definitely freeing. So it's just the journey, just the life cycle, you know?
Yeah, what a good way to stay relevant too, because you got to think, right? Like when we were in Tiger Muay Thai, we were like in the golden era of MMA.
Yeah.
It was of our era. Of like the guys, we came at a good time. We were just like, because we had a weird crew, right? Think
Crazy,
about all the from where they were, everybody was from. It didn't make any sense when you look at the way
Crazy.
we got put together between Valentina, Peter Yan, Volkanovski, you know, Frank, George,
No, it was a great,
Greg. Like think about all the UFC fighters, like even Brendan Loughnane. You know what I'm saying? Like how everybody just intertwined. Izzy. You know, even Duplessis and Izzy were in the same mats.
I remember
when we first started. They were both nobody. We were all nobodies.
I remember.
Not that we were all nobodies. We're all fucking champions.
No, we're just we were figuring it out.
We're all figuring it out.
We're winging it, bro.
But now, being at BangTao, we had our ears to the street on who's up and coming back then. Like I remember telling people, like, "Yo, Volk, I'm training with a guy who's gonna be the UFC
100%.
champ." And my friends had
knew it.
My friends had no. They were like, "What?" And like my boy, we're in Volkanovski 1 here. Like my boy's like, "Yo, I remember you told me this is like 6 years ago, and I never knew who this guy was." And nobody really knew who he was until they knew.
Yeah.
But now at BangTao,
I think it was when he beat Chad Mendez. I think everyone was like, "Oh,
oh yeah,
I think that was a big
sure.
one."
That was his coming out party. But when you now with BangTao, now you got your ears to the streets of the next generation.
I'm
so you
telling
got
you,
these 16, 17-year-olds. These kids are going to be champs in the future, and you're seeing them firsthand. And so it's kind of cool how like we got to see it when we started coming up with the guys, but you're staying relevant in the game. We're like, I don't know who's going to be great in the next 10 years, but you could probably name like 3 or 4 guys that we're going to be knowing pretty soon. You know? Bro, 16 years old, 20 amateur fights. That's absolutely
his
insane,
kid's nasty.
bro.
You know, his kid's nasty. And trained all over the world. Super supportive. The biggest thing is the families.
parents,
Super supportive dads. Now they're obviously realizing, like, when we were younger, MMA, jiu-jitsu wasn't a career. But now it is.
Nah.
Now it is. And so the parents are saying, okay, like, let's do your school online, but you want to train full-time? I support this.
Yeah.
You know, for so long that this wasn't an option.
Nah, this was a sport was like people were like broken homes.
Nah,
like,
yeah,
fucking,
for sure.
This was like a felon sport. Like, yo, not felon,
Yeah.
but like,
No, I know.
You know, kind of like we had like a lot of G's in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
I
guys
mean-
who like got beat up as kids or whatever, ended up stumbling
but-
into a gym, didn't really know what it was. It was like straight fighting, you know.
But not,
now,
yeah.
there's money in it, and like you have parents, like if you have the
Yeah,
parents
they
to
see it.
support,
Yeah,
and
they
it's
see
getting
it.
like kids getting built up in the program, you know.
Yeah, no, they see it. And, you know, in, let's say jiu-jitsu, but any martial art, 10 years, average is like a black belt, right? You've kind of, you know, you've been around it, you've been in the situation so much. But these kids, when they're training at 7 years old, by the time they're 17, they
already have all.
But not even that, just hundreds of competitions and mat time and all this stuff. And, yeah, that's something that really excites me, you know, like you said, like this kind of like generation that we started with at Tiger, when it wasn't like a thing, bro. We were just kind of figuring it out, and then everyone became who they are today. Like we're seeing that now, and even back then we always had an eye for it. And of course, like back to boys. Back then, right? We're like, oh man, Peter Yan gonna be champ, but we really believed it.
Yeah, but you were backing your boy. Yeah,
Same with,
it didn't matter whether they were and weren't.
But we did believe it. Same with Volkanovski. Same with Valentina. These people we saw like before the UFC, we always believed it.
Valentina and Peter Yan especially.
Of course.
They was on the radar. Like I remember Peter Yan before he went. When he went,
I think he was still amateur when
he was
came.
on.
We were
He was
training with
amateur.
Tiger.
He was still amateur.
He was like the scary dude nobody wanted to spar with,
He was
bro.
like 16, 17 years old, bro.
Yeah, he was like the scary dude nobody wanted to spar with, and it turned out, like we all.
Bro, Arman Tersukian.
Yeah.
I remember when that guy was just a grappler.
Yeah.
Like when, I mean, he had to be young, bro. Like 17, 18. Vamos used to love that guy. He used to call him Baki the grappler, So. Just,
But yeah, just like you're saying, like we kind of had a feeling back then, and it turns out we were right. We do have this now, like the people coming to the gym, like this is something I'm really proud of as well, and I think this is the reason a lot of them are coming to us, and their parents are the ones bringing them to the gym. They meet us, they realize we're the owners, they realize we're the coaches, they realize we used to fight. They trust us, they really do, and that means a lot, man. Like when people come and these parents come and they trust us with their kids, and it's massive, and I don't take that lightly, and so that's what like kind of pushes me. I know pushes the rest of the boys to like make sure we're always like making sure the training is always the best, making sure we're updating new stuff. Okay, let's work on like meal plans at the gym. Let's work on making sure everyone's in like a good, safe environment. And I do think that's a big thing. I think that's why a lot of these parents trust us. Another kid, I mean, I can name so many of these teenagers, and then their parents have brought them to us and seen us. This kid, Lucas Thomas. Do you remember this kid? This is a funny story.
I remember that kid from Singapore. My student, I was cornering Firhan, bro. I think I was
How old was he? How old?
Bro, like 13, 12. I had, bro, no, they weren't, he wasn't a teenager. This is before teens, bro. I'm talking about kids division. Yeah. I brought one of my students, when I was teaching in Singapore, me and Luke brought one of our students, Firhan. I think we're like one of the only guys to ever beat that kid in like live competition. And it was crazy. Like, one of my guys got a little armbar on him, but like before I'm talking about this guy was a child, bro, like 10, 11 years old. Yeah. How old is he now? This guy's like 20.
So I remember you telling me about this guy.
That guy's a phenom, but I used to talk to his dad and stuff like that.
I know, and so you were telling me all this stuff about like these kids and these kids and these kids. Lo and behold, so now he just turned like 18 or 19. His dad brought him out, so he won.
This kid's 18 or 19. The first time I met this kid, he must have been 7 years old when I was in Singapore. So I was in Singapore coaching Luke. It had to be 2014 when I met him.
So, but he won as a kid. He won every IBJJF belt level as a kid. All those based out of Singapore, and his dad's from the UK. And he won all of them, world champion as a kid. So I don't care if you're a kid, whatever belt you're like. If you became a world champion at your skill level, at your weight level, at your age level, you became a champion, right? And so he was training super hard in the gi, trained at Atos for a while. I think got a purple belt under Andre Galvao.
Oh, wow.
And then
in America?
In America. He was training for a few years. The experience that you can have 2 years staying there. And then came to the gym, and he was super under the radar. Came with his dad. I saw them kind of scoping us out a little bit, seeing if they liked us, and then eventually I talked to his dad, and his dad's amazing.
I met his dad.
His dad's amazing, and he goes, look, I was just kind of watching you, kind of observing how everyone was, and he trusted us, and now Lucas has been with us a year straight at least. He lives there full time.
No way.
He's been fighting Muay Thai. I think he's like 3-0 in Muay Thai.
His
striking's very good.
He's a straight gi guy. He started off as a gi kid.
But so he's got that ingrained in him, and his striking is very good. And I asked his dad. His dad's very smart. And his dad's former fighter as well. And his dad, I said, so how is he taken to it? And his dad goes, he has it. And so his dad has the trust in him. He watched him fight. He sees that he's got it. Because if you don't have it, and you don't have the striking, it's, getting into MMA is maybe not for you.
Yeah, fighting.
But his dad pushed him, and he lives there full time. And just another one of these kids that's just super, super talented. I mean, I could just rattle off a bunch of these names, and super talented. And I'm really excited to see kind of the future of a lot of these young men. These young men. Another one that you got to shout out is Dorian Olivarez. Dorian Olivarez. He was 13 when he first came to Tiger, and I met him and I met his dad. And again, I was much bigger than him. He was like a kid, and super competitive, like really talented. Even you can see back then. And I followed his journey ever since. And his dad and I have always stayed in contact, and I knew how talented he was. And so for those who don't know, Dorian Olivarez just won the ADCC East Coast Trials, 17 years old. And what's really interesting about him is as people are coming up through, like, okay, how do they approach grappling? How do they approach MMA? What do they specialize? Do I specialize in jiu-jitsu? Do I specialize in wrestling, whatever? He was specializing in no-gi grappling, essentially, as a wrestler. So he wasn't doing all the IBJJF tournaments and all these stuff as a kid. He was doing all the state championships national titles, multiple time state champion, multiple time national champion as a wrestler, then was going to these no-gi tournaments, and his dad is a black belt as well. So his dad knows. His dad is kind of, he's his coach, and he's kind of like said, hey, let's work on this and work on that. Because at the end of the day, jiu-jitsu is grappling. Wrestling is grappling. It's just a different rule set. And I followed his thing ever since, and I wasn't surprised. I mean, he did also the combat jiu-jitsu where he slapped people. He was champion in that. It's like a kid, like 16 years old.
Really?
And 17 years old last year, he won the trials. He's going to ADCC this year. And he came out to train with us in BangTao right after in December. And now he's
trials. He won the trials, right?
The trials. That's like the hardest.
East Coast trials.
East Coast
like,
trials.
that's
like harder than the. That's like harder than the tournament.
He's like 100 matches, like 100 people.
It's like insane. Yeah, it's like 150 people in a tournament, and 17 years old, and super impressive. And what he's done in jiu-jitsu, not only at the age, but in jiu-jitsu at 17 years old to win the trials, you can make a career off that. To be honest, you could be a trials winner. That is such a high bar to set. Then a few months later in wrestling, he won the nationals. That alone is its own, like, you can set a career off of that. And he did both at the same time. And this kid's like a super, super talent. And I can't wait to see what he does. So he came out, we're the same size, you know? He competes at like 65 kilos. I weigh 65 kilos. So he came out with his dad. And I wanted to make sure he got good rounds in, you know? So I rolled him like every day. He's an absolute menace. I think Craig Jones talks about it a lot too. Like at B team, no one rolled him. They didn't want to roll. They said it. No one. Craig rolls anybody, but apparently his dad was telling me like he goes, and a lot of people kind of avoid him because it is a nightmare of a round. He is in your face, heavy collar ties, smacking you around, cross face. But and afterward, he's like the nicest. Yo, he rolls like he hates you. Yeah. He rolls like he hates you, and you're like, man, like, does this kid hate me? And afterwards, he's like the nicest kid, man. Like I really like him, you know, and excited to see what he does at ADCC, and excited to see what he does in MMA. I think he's got that perfect style. Super aggressive, super nasty.
And his dad holds pads for him and stuff, right? Like
I guess so. Yeah, his dad's
fully locked. That's the thing now. We got the kids that we have a lot of parents because like we're like our age, bro. Like we weren't out and living that savage life. We should have already had our kids, and you know what I'm saying. But like all of our friends, our kids are getting to that age. They're gonna start training and fighting. You know.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing about this sport, right? Like we had the first 2-3 generations, but now you have the like Rampage is training with his son, you know. So like think about how
it's
good
a different.
He's gonna be 2nd, 3rd generation MMA fighters, you know. Like they're gonna kick, punch, and wrestle all together.
Yeah.
Like, before it was all.
We're not even like you and I aren't like from that super early generation.
We're like 3rd generation. Dog,
yeah, but you look at it now.
MMA. I started with MMA. Everything.
Yeah, but no, that's what I'm saying. We're not super old like that. But now that we are getting older, you look at it, and we still were early. You know, like
yes,
it wasn't like a path to it. Now there is like a path, and so like the parents and everything can see it. And not only that, YouTube, the ability to learn from YouTube, watch fights, watch matches. They didn't have that when we started.
Everything is on YouTube.
We had
techniques. We had
DVDs. I remember we were still buying Technique DVDs, but like, you know, how hard was that? And now like the ability to learn is just like insane, you know? So everything's just gonna change, and that's even more where I'm like, man, I gotta train, I gotta work on my technique, I gotta practice my technique because you know you don't want to get past.
Evolve or die. Right?
Yeah, evolve or die, and that's just how I hold myself accountable. I just roll and put myself in those situations, and I just like jiu-jitsu. I just want to get better at jiu-jitsu regardless of what I'm doing.
Yeah, but what's great is that you're able to. You can always see where you're at because you're rolling with the top guys in the game right now. So you can always see like where you're at, like what you know and what you do. So like, all right, I still got it, dog. Like, you know, like you haven't like. It's not like you don't train. It's not like if it's training is training. You know, at the end of the day, like you can. There's 1,000 ways you can learn all the moves in the world. But if you got your game and you're good at it, you can always try to implement that on people. You know.
Of course.
But it's got to be good to be like, bro, cut it about with Like you just had Volkanovski there. He was just training. He loves to train, and he's always in BangTao, right? He's like a part. Does he have something? He's a little bit involved with BangTao, right? With Volkanovski.
Yeah, he came on as an owner. That was like amazing. What a cool feeling that was. You know, as we're kind of building the gym, and you know, originally like we did like as we were looking for investment and stuff. Like we know people that like our friends, but we're like maybe that could make it like difficult, and so but. As we were building and before we opened, there was just an opportunity. We were looking for a little bit more cash, and we were offering a little bit of equity. And I remember sending him videos. It was during the construction because no one had any idea we were building the gym during COVID, and so everyone's gone.
You guys were still training and working at the other places in the building it, or like when did you?
No. We didn't start construction and building until we were free. No. We were planning, but no, we didn't start the construction or anything. So the gym was like. now like things are starting to kind of move around. I was taking videos, and I have all these videos on my phone, like these updates, Alex's updates. I would just, because nobody was around, no one can come see it, and I would take these videos, and I just recently put one on my Instagram, and I was walking through, and I do like, I've just always done like this, like walking through, giving explanations, and
With your hard hat.
yeah, not hard hat, fucking, it's Thailand, bro. There ain't any hard hats around, but no, we had spoken with Volk, and I'd send him some videos. You know, George was like, "Hey man, like take one of your videos, send it to Volk, and see what he thinks." And yeah, it was just an amazing thing. You know, like obviously such a big fan of his, everything he's doing, but to be able to like give our friends something out, because after you fight, that's it. What do you do? How do you turn into something else?
It's a hard transition, man.
So to be able to like give ownership, and have, you know, one of our closest friends, his ability to also do something else, and also obviously it's very great for the gym as well, have him invested, have him a part of it. And he brought Joe Lopez, his coach as well, he brought him in as well. So just to give, like I said, with this business, I do want everyone to be able to get something from it. And so like to be able to like have them have now ownership of something, is like, it just means a ton beyond the success of the business, beyond like the cool factor of having, you know, Volk on board, like to give him and his family something as well. Like how cool is that? And that's longer, you know, than the fight paychecks, you know? So, yeah, it's a trip. Yeah, it's a trip.
That's true. I never thought about that because, man, that's the thing with fighting. Like I have a lot of, I know, like you were saying, the reason why you're so good at managing and being able to put together gyms and all these businesses, you're saying like how maybe that hindered you in your fight career because you had your mind on so many other things, right? Like you had to be like fully locked in. And I feel the same way with me, man. I'm blessed that now that I'm not fighting, I have a lot of things that I know that I'm pretty good at. Like I can speak, you know, I'm able to host this podcast, you know what I'm saying? I got into comedy, you know, now I'm like hosting shows, you know, doing fight nights. It's amazing, and I'm super blessed and lucky, but I got to remember how lucky I was that I have that. So even though I'm a little bit bummed out sometimes about how my career, like how I didn't like win the fights I wanted to win,
Sure.
I'm lucky that I got something else to fall back on where like,
Yeah.
and then it's for him too, and for like a lot of these UFC champs, you know, like it's so important that they have like a second coming, because this is you can only do it for so long, bro. You can't fight
No matter how good
41,
you are. Yeah,
42, you know, unless you're Yasubi, dog, you ain't gonna be fighting, you know, bro, Yasubi we're gonna fight till forever, dog. He's still battling bears right now, but
yeah,
it's a wild thing, bro.
Yeah, no, MMA is like, this is a crazy industry. It's a crazy business. You know, any other thing you give 10 years of your life to, you come out with like a degree, you know? There ain't actually a degree.
Dog. And in MMA, there's no belts. At least in jiu-jitsu, you get a belt, you know?
Man, that's kind of another topic. I always tell people, like...
These MMA belts, dog. How do you make a system?
Yeah, but it's not as like an old school martial art. I mean, obviously your record could like do things for you. That's kind of like your belts and your experience, but...
It's like Muay Thai doesn't have belts either, though. So it's
well,
like
in America they do, bro.
Fighting is fighting, dog. Fighting, you get your own belt, dog. Fighting, you gotta fight. You know?
In America, they got belts. Yeah.
My belt. This is my fucking belt. This is goddamn face, dog.
Yeah.
You can't. There's only one way you can get this shit.
Yeah, but you know, it's something we were talking about earlier as well. Last night we were sitting out back at your house, and how like in any kind of industry, like there are gonna be like the professionals, then the elite professionals, and the people that make money like that, but there's all these other people in that ecosystem that do other jobs, whether they become managers, whether they become agents, they start the clothing brand, they start the gym. There is like this space, and trying to find that space as a fighter, transitioning into, okay, now fighting isn't my main source, and okay, now do I host events, start jiu-jitsu tournaments, start promotion? Trying to find that transition, as you know, is really difficult. But it's cool now that this thing that we love for so long, like I said, we're not super early generation, but we've been doing it a long time now. You know, 15 years.
Like second generation, maybe, because like after the
there's definitely generations, but
because you got like the fighters, and you got like the GSPs, and like we're like after the GSP generation, because you got to think about the champs.
Yeah. And
who are like when the champs? I go by like the champs. Like you have the
when you first started,
John Jones,
yeah.
GSP, Anderson Silva generation.
Yeah.
We're the generation after John Jones, GSP,
yeah.
and Anderson Silva probably, because then we got Volk, Valentina, Peter Yan. That's like the next batch of champions after them.
I remember.
You know?
I remember. This is super funny. When Volk won the belt off Holloway in 2019, I went to Vegas, and I was walking. There was like some event the night before, like a big grappling event. At the end of the day, I'm still a fan of the sport, right? And I was walking with Brad Riddell, and
was he in the UFC yet or no?
Yeah. He was already in the UFC.
When Volk won, right?
Yeah, for sure. And
because
he had fought in New Zealand and that.
Yeah, I went to that fight. Yeah. What the fuck am I talking about?
And Yeah, and so I remember I was walking like in the hotel with him, and like, you know, there was like a big event the night before, and so there was a lot of like UFC like legend type of people like on that event as well, walking around. And I had said something to Brad, and it was like such a Brad response. I said, "I'm like, oh, yo, that's really cool, man. Like that, they're so and so." And he's like, fuck those guys. He's like, we're the new generation. And yeah, no, but it was just dope. Like I was like, and it, of course, like, you know, he has all the respect in the world for all those like fighters that came before and all that stuff. But it was just like, yeah, like, okay, there these people are, but now we can put ourselves, you know, again, whether you're a fighter, business owner, or coach, but make our own name in the sport and have our own influence and our own impact in the sport. And hopefully, you know, when people look back, they say, man, like, oh, that guy did something for the sport. You know, I think, yeah, so, yeah, the different generations coming up is really funny, but, you know, it's just, yeah, it's crazy that, like, even going back, I think what I was saying before is like this thing that we loved so long before it was really cool and before like there was money in it and opportunities, we just happen to love it. And we are crazy enough to do it. And we are crazy enough or dumb enough to go to Thailand and try to pursue it, which like even back then, like wasn't like, yeah, it was kind of crazy. And now
a little weird. I remember telling people I want to go. They're like, what would he, what?
Oh, my parents, my family.
Even now telling people like,
yeah.
They think you're out there. They think I'm just out there doing like hangover shit sometimes.
We did. We had some good times, bro.
But they think that was the purpose of being there.
No.
Like,
they always
you're just
they
out
always
there
thought
partying
that.
in the island. And I was like, not really, you know. Like, well, first of all, we were too poor for the first 10 years. Dog.
Fuck.
We didn't make money until about 7 years in that bitch, you know, like 6
yeah.
years.
But that was part of it, man. I remember that, like scraping up coins, like trying to fill up gas for the motorbike. Man, we got a 10 baht coin.
Coins,
if I found a 10 baht coin, I was like putting that in for gas, getting toasties from 7-Eleven, and
getting water.
Yeah.
I used to fill up my water bottles in the machine.
Nah, I hate those things.
Water?
I got sick off those one time.
Saying, though, like that was the life, dog. Like you have to pay for water in Thailand when you're so broke that you got to go to the little 1 baht machines and fill them up. You know, filling up all your empty water bottles with water and take. And
I gotta
home.
say, I don't think that Thailand experience that we had coming up in those years,
doesn't exist
2013, 14, 15. I don't think it's the same. I think everything's very cushy. Everything's very nice. People expect a lot. Back then, like we didn't get anything. And if you wanted to stay in Thailand, if you were a fighter and you want to stay in Thailand, you fought in China. And I don't think that happens anymore.
Have that. You can't. There's nowhere to fight. Oh yeah, now you can fight in Thailand MMA, which is absolutely insane. We were the first MMA shows in Thailand. We were
we were there when it was like illegal.
When it was fighting in MMA shows when they're probably illegal. You know,
and we were making like $300. I remember my first fight was
how much
like
was Full Metal Dojo? 8,000 baht.
6 + 4. I got. You might have got more. You were better looking than I was. You know,
bro.
But $200 plus $100. $200 plus $100. But just even this experience of like that hustle and again like we were just figuring it out. There was no one kind of like leading us in the direction of do this, do that. And that's kind of what we're trying to do now. Is like we're trying to give this experience to these younger kids that are now in Thailand. Let's lead them kind of in a better direction. Hey, like maybe this promoter isn't good. Maybe this fight is not going to be as good. Hey, maybe, you know, like we were just like, yeah, fuck it. I'll go to China on a week's notice for $1,000, for $1,000. You know, like with no corner man. How many times, bro? I did that. Go to fight in China with no corner man. They're paying $1,000. Wrap your own hands, bro.
Wrap your own hands. Like imagine that, guys.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna go like you're living in a country where you know like your money's running out, and the thing is with Thailand is like as soon as you spend $1, it's gone forever unless you have a job. It's not like I'm working this week and then I'll get paid. No, when you're living out there fighting, like everything you got, that's all you got. Like you get a ticket, fuck man, you don't want to get a ticket. You know, like 1,000 baht. Imagine getting a ticket and you can't. Man, one time I was on my way to Western Union to go get some Western Union dog, and I got a ticket, and I couldn't pay the ticket. And I had to the guy, I'm like, bro, you need to let me go get this Western Union. I remember get this ticket. It was crazy.
I remember.
You know, like,
I remember you used to tell me, dog, because I mean that's just how you are, and you're probably still like that. I remember you get paid after a fight, and then you just go wild and you spend it all, and you'd be like, if I'm broke, I gotta fight again.
Yeah.
And that's probably why you had twice as many fights as me, because I was like, you would just spend the money and you'd be like, dude, I gotta go fight. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to China. I was like, what do you mean you're going to China? I was like, who are you fighting? He's like, I don't know. I remember the old switcheroo, dog. Remember, you gotta tell some stories about like you go to like a fight. Remember one time we were in Nanjing or something. It wasn't a switcheroo, but I think one time you weigh in, one time you show up, you look across the ring, and you're like, "Is that the guy I weighed against?" You know, like,
Oh my gosh, no, we had that one home. Oh, Jing, you were part of the when everybody from Phuket lost. Dog.
That was a tough day, dog.
Rather than the guy yelled at us, he's like, "You professional." Remember the guy who's miss weight? And
Yo,
then we go to his room.
Dog.
I was like, "Yo, you miss weight," and you're yelling at us like
remember
we're
that.
professional. We should understand that you miss. Like, nah, this is fucked up.
No,
man.
yeah, this coach. I remember they were like Kazakh or something, bro. And him and his coach, they missed weight, and the coach
I
was like,
miss weight by you know what's fucked
No, it
up.
was like 3
I
kilos.
miss weight. I miss weight by like a pound. Okay, and then you were already super pissed at me. I should have definitely not been there. You know, I miss weight. That's because
I
we
remember,
didn't.
yeah.
But this like again, dog. We didn't know what we were doing, bro. We
Yeah,
were
we're winging it.
we were with
We were winging
Arvin. We're with Arvin. It's freezing cold in Nanjing, dog.
Yeah.
Right. So we go to. He puts on the bathtub,
I was
and I
so
didn't
mad.
know that you don't have to. You don't have to put the bathtub that hot.
I'm
dog.
sorry, dog. You could not get in that bathtub.
Dad,
I was
you guys
so
had
mad,
that
bro.
shit.
Just get in there, bro.
That shit was
Yo,
boiling, dog.
Get
I
in
did
there,
not.
dog.
I don't fuck with
Get in
bathtubs,
there,
bro.
yo.
I'm
But I remember
embarrassing
you were like overweight, and we went to go. No, you finally made the weight, and we went to go talk to the
We
coach.
went downstairs to go work out.
negotiate.
It was freezing downstairs. Oh, this shit, man.
But I remember the coach was like, he's like,
Freezing.
brother, we are sportsmen, and I
He
was
wasn't
like,
even at the weigh-ins, dog.
yeah, but in my head I was like, we're sportsmen. I was like, what are you talking about? But yeah, man, all these kind of stories. But yeah, even as back we were talking about, like if you were like in Phuket, like you flew to China to go fight. Brad,
Fighting
Bruno,
in that cold ass arena,
oh,
dog.
God, can't warm up.
Cold
Oh,
ass
man.
arena. Fighting in the cold, bro.
Stiff.
And then, fuck, man, I could have beat that guy. Dog. I took his ass down, dog. It's so hard to get chokes with those. And then the gloves, like, you don't even know what kind of gloves you're gonna get when you go fight over there. We were fighting with those, man. The glove was like a regular 4-ounce MMA glove, and then a padding like of a thick. Like
I don't want to that was like an experience I really learned from. I remember you had double wrist control, you flatten the guy out, and that seems like a finishing position. He just held tight, and you can't get your gloves out. And you
just
can't
get
finish.
remember
That's a real
my wrist
thing.
was trapped. I had to flatten out. I don't even know how I got
when
him
I when I
down,
teach
dog.
now, it's like a lesson that I talk about.
Oh my god, bro!
It's
so important, dog. There's so many things.
Imagine that you have someone flattened out, and the bottom guy just tell the guy hold the gloves like this. He went nice and tight like this. You couldn't get your hands out. I remember that. It's a lesson I talk about. I talk about it a lot in my classes. Actually,
bro, I got a theory from my losses, dog. Bro, I'm almost thinking like, yo, whenever I see a fight and the guy gets his back taken right away, I'm like, oh, that guy's gonna lose. Like the guy who had the back control always loses, dog.
Yeah, it's happened to me, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, it's happened to both of us, dog. Where I'm like, and I see it all the time, and I'm like, oh, I can see the experience happening on these guys.
Of
like,
course. And
you're a grappler, bro. If you're a grappler, I always thought you need to be a grappler to fight, bro. That's the most exhausting shit. The last thing
just
you
don't go for the choke. Go for the ground and pound.
Dog,
Go for the ground and pound, then you get the choke. Yeah. The best. You heard the best submission is a TKO.
Dog.
The best submission is a TKO.
And you know, I didn't realize it in the beginning. We were fighting like
We're just hunting the choke. Yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning, I should have built up my record getting all TKOs. I could have had like 10 finishes. I could have started off 6-0, 6 finishes.
Yo.
If instead of trying to choke these crazy people, because dog, and then a fight, choking somebody, you really gotta submit. You gotta submit your will in them. We're like. No. Yeah, you can mount a guy and punch him, and he's just not gonna get out. But if you try to choke him and blow your arms out, you're gonna give this idiot.
Yeah, it's happened. Every fight I lost, I had the person's back.
That's what I'm saying, dog. Where it's almost like a gift and a curse, bro. Like, I'm telling you, from my experiences, from like blowing my wad so many times, like being a jiu-jitsu guy trying to finish him in the first round.
Yeah.
I stopped fighting in the first round, bro.
Yeah.
And then
We talked about this.
I stopped doing take. I almost like people were like, why don't you wrestle? I'm like, dog, because I always gas when I wrestle,
I know.
bro. No matter how good of a shape I'm in, this motherfucker gets up.
I
I'd rather just bang it out on the feet.
I remember you told me this. You're like, yo, dog. You're like, yo, I figured it out. He's like, yo, just take off the first round, bro.
Don't ever fight the first round. You don't need to. Like,
but remember, I did that in Tokyo. No, I didn't take off, but I just was more kind of chill and not like chasing the takedown. I fought really good in Tokyo.
That was your best
fight. I fought really
fight.
good. Yeah, I fought really good.
Because I was, I don't know, maybe and that was a good. Yo,
that was a good fight.
Yo, they broke your nose.
Yeah, I broke my nose in that fight.
Yo, you got to fight in Japan, dog.
Yeah.
How funny, bro.
Yeah, that was amazing, man. I'm super grateful, man. Like I had some really good experiences.
You got to fight in Japan in a martial arts like.
Yeah.
That was, bro. They had a video gaming. They had like a gaming, bro. People were playing like some Tekken game.
No, it was the Street Fighter. There was a Street Fighter gaming convention going on at the same time as the fights. So it was like a movie, dog.
And the lights were on.
I think on the stream.
The lights were like really bright, right?
I think on the stream, I have to find it in Japan. They had the character like select your fighter, and I, select.
Oh, that's
Alex.
right.
I never got to see it, but I think they did it, and it was like fight, like it did it like that, man. It was like a dream.
Bam
man.
had that fight against that crazy fucking African guy.
Yeah.
And he had like mad fans over there. Dog.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Africans in Asia,
Man, I remember in that fight. I remember.
Bam.
You remember? I broke my nose in the second round. And it's funny, like most people when they break their nose, they break it from like a straight and it crushes their nose. But I got a really big nose, bro.
What
So
did I say to you? I said something super funny in between rounds.
No,
right?
so yeah, I didn't break it from straight. I tried to lean back, like I tried to kind of lean back on a punch, and he got a hook, and I got a big nose, so it just pushed it right to the side, and I came back in between rounds, and I think I was like, yo, am I okay? And
You're like, my nose.
You're like, nah, dog. And
No. You're like, how's my nose? Is it good? And I was like, it's not good.
Yeah, I remember specifically, dog. You took the towel. You didn't want them because my nose, it looked really bad, and you didn't want them to come and stop it in between rounds. So you took you're like, yeah, chill. You're like, you took the towel, you put it on my face, and first of all, I was like, oh, that fucking hurt. But you try to cover my face so that like the ref wouldn't see it, because the ref was coming around.
Blow. You can't blow, dog.
You can't blow, right? But you didn't want to show the ref how bad it looked. So I remember that. I remember walking over, and I have, there's actually a little video of it. I have it. There's a little video of us, like you standing in the corner, and you're just like, you cover my face, like so no one would see. And then
I remember what you go. You go, is it bad? And I go, it's not good. You go, yo, I think he broke my nose. Is my nose bad right now? This is in between rounds. We're having a conversation. I'm like, it's not good, but.
And I remember I tried to walk back over, and I tried to like, I think anytime you get hurt, you try to not show your opponent, like just do the opposite, like I'm not hurt. And I walked back over to the center. I learned this actually from Adam Busef. 10 seconds, if you got a minute in between rounds, at 50 seconds, like 10 seconds before, remember, I think I told you to go at it. I said, get out of the corner. Tear your corner, go away, and get up and walk towards the center. So while your opponent is still sitting there, using the entire minute, sitting down on the stool, walk over it, and it's just this little thing. I remember Adam Busef told me that. I thought he was mad at me. I remember I was cornering him in Korea, and he's like looking at the guy. He's like, "You get out," and I was like, "What?"
Oh, that's right.
And so I did it. I remember I did it to George when I fought in Korea one time. I was like, I just looked at him and I go, "Get out." And he thought I was mad. I think I did it to you too. I was like, "Yeah." Maybe it was. I can't remember. And I remember after that fight too, and my nose is broken. And just before that, I didn't talk about this too much, and I probably won't talk about it now. I had some really serious injuries 8 weeks before that.
I know. You broke your hand, dog.
I cracked my rib.
You fucking broke your hand in a Muay Thai fight, dog.
Yeah.
Like a week before, dog, or something. I don't know how long ago was that Muay Thai. Like a month.
All right, so let's get into this.
Bro.
All right, well, we'll get into this little story. I've never really told it because I don't. It's just I don't want it to be like an excuse or ever talk about it, but it's kind of my last like year or two of fighting was just like a lot going on. So I tore my ACL getting ready for a fight. I tore my ACL, so I had to pull out of the fight. This was
before Japan.
Yeah.
So this is leading up.
So this is leading up to it. So I was training for a fight. I tore my ACL and I had surgery, and I was doing the rehab, and then all of a sudden this opportunity to go fight MMA in Tokyo came up, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the most amazing experience like ever. Like go fight one championship in Tokyo, and they want to put me on the card. It was like the One Warrior series, but it was in Tokyo, and so I think at that point that would have been maybe 10 months after my surgery. So then I was like, okay, I can do it. So then I was like, all right, my idea was after rehab of my knee, my ACL surgery.
You hurt your knee getting ready for your first one Super Series fight.
Yeah.
First one fight.
Yeah. So I hurt my knee, I had surgery. Then I had this opportunity, and my idea, obviously in hindsight, maybe not the best idea, I said, man, I haven't fought in a while. Let me go fight Muay Thai at a local stadium.
Let me warm up with a Muay Thai fight.
Let me do a warm-up fight at a Muay Thai stadium just to get the jitters back, get the adrenaline going, and then I'll go fight. It was 2 months later. It was exactly 8 weeks later. So I was like, fucking, I was feeling great. I was in great shape. My mind was good. Everything was good. I went and I had the Muay Thai fight, and I was fighting pretty well for like the first bit of the fight. I was fighting really well. I felt really good. My cardio was good. My eyes were good. My vision was good. And then at some point, I got hit with a knee, and I was like, oh, that kind of hurt. I was like, look at that. That kind of hurt. And then in like the later round, I get hit with another knee, and all of a sudden, like my gas just went, like I dropped, like I couldn't breathe. I was just like, and I like everyone around just thought I was getting tired. I remember that, and I was just like, man, like what is going on? And I remember I broke my hand in the fight for sure. I felt that, and then I collapsed. Like I couldn't finish the fight, so I'd lost, and we walked out of the ring, and everyone saw me. They just thought I gassed out. They just thought like I was being soft or whatever it was, and I couldn't breathe. They were like, "Oh, relax," and I was curled in a ball. And you probably remember this. I was like in a ball like this, and I was sitting, and I knew my hand was broken, but I was like, I couldn't breathe, and everyone's like, "Yo, Alex, it's all good, man. Just chill." And again, I was like trying to explain to people, but I couldn't talk. I was trying to explain, like, they're like, oh no, they just thought I got tired. And I knew that something else had happened. So I'm sitting there like in a ball. I'm just like, and my back started seizing up. I'm just like, I can't breathe. My hand's all fucked up. You could see the break in my hand. And again, everyone's just like, yo, man, just chill. So we went back to my house. I remember we all went. Everyone's like, yo, let's just go back home, man. Let's just chill. There was a bunch of us that went. And everyone's like, yo, like, smoke a joint, take a muscle relaxer, just like relax. And I was starting to like relax a little bit. And then at some point everyone left. And there was someone stayed at the house with me just to make sure I was okay. And then hour after hour, midnight, 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, 4 a.m. I couldn't lay down. I couldn't sit. I couldn't lay down. I kept seizing like a ball, and my breathing was just not getting better. So eventually the person that was staying with me at the house was like, hey, we need to go to the hospital. You can't sit. You can't lay. Something's wrong. So we went to the hospital at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. And none of the boys knew. You guys had already gone home, gone to bed hours before. And we go to the hospital. They take x-rays of my chest. They take x-rays of my hand. And I thought the hand was the worst part. We're sitting there. And all of a sudden, like, it's like sirens go off. All these nurses start coming out. And they're, blah, 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 blah. They're speaking in Thai. I don't really know what they're saying. But they're like, get him in an emergent, like in the bed right away. Get him there right away. And I'm like, oh, my God. They like put me in a wheelchair. They're like putting me into this room, putting oxygen on me. And they had told me I had a cracked rib and a punctured lung. My lung had collapsed. So the first knee had cracked my rib. And the second knee had taken the cracked rib and punctured my lung, and I collapsed lung. And so what has happened was, that's why I couldn't breathe. And the reason that I found out is your body seizes up to try to protect it because it's your organs. So this is why my back was seizing up super tight, and I got in a ball because you try to protect your body, not to move anymore. Like, it's crazy how the body works. And it was like 5 a.m. I'm all of a sudden in a hospital on oxygen, and they're telling me, okay, we need to do observation. In an hour, if the oxygen doesn't work, we're gonna have to, I forgot what they called it. So it's called a pneumothorax when you puncture your lung and a collapsed lung. And if it doesn't recover naturally, we're gonna have to stick a rod into your ribs, in through your ribs, into your lung. Take the air out or something like this. Yeah. And I'm like, what in the fuck? Just a few hours before I was like, just had fought and nobody knew. So all of a sudden I started sending, and that was actually my first time in the back of an ambulance. So after there, I'm like tripping out. I'm like, oh my, I'm like, what the fuck? Like fighting? Like, this is crazy. What am I doing? Like, my hand was broken. I had a collapsed lung. Nobody was around me anymore. They were like, all right, we need to take you to the other hospital for like emergency or whatever. So they put me in the back of the ambulance. It's the first time I was back in the ambulance. I'm in this Thai ambulance. I'm like, what is going on? Oh my God. I'm by myself. And at that point, it's like 6 a.m, 7 a.m. I'm sending pictures to the group. Like, yo guys, remember when I was like, everyone thought I gassed out. I was like, man, like I have a collapsed lung. And, it was super scary, but I remember when I woke up the next day, like I could breathe again and I can move again, and it was fucked up. But and George will say it too. I messaged George. I was like, bro, I think I can do this fight in Tokyo, and it was 8 weeks. And I told him, yeah, I mean, whatever. I told him.
I think I would have probably advised against it. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, you were mad at me, bro. I remember you were really mad at me. And it was crazy. And then I got out, and then I left that hospital. I left that hospital.
No bullshit between us. Not be mad at each other.
Yeah, but that's what it's about, I left the hospital, and 2 days later I went to like another hospital, like a better hospital, and I said, can you scan my stuff? And because of that, they told me the hole. So I showed them the original X-ray. The hole in my lung had already closed by 80% in like 3 days or something. And I just attribute it to healthy lifestyle. I do take my vitamins. I do take supplements, and just my body is naturally, I guess, in good shape. And I got out of the hospital and I went for a run. And it sounds like a ridiculous story, but I got the x-rays in case anyone's like, that didn't happen. I got the x-rays to prove it. And I went,
but you going?
Yeah, no, I felt all right. And I did all this Googling. I was like, can I run? Like all this type of stuff. Whoa. And so then I didn't want to back out of this fight. And I remember, I won't name any names, but the guy who had put together that fight, the matchmaker for that fight, he messaged me the next day, or like 2 days later, because he originally, like, if you already signed for a fight contract, you shouldn't fight usually right before it, because just in case injury. Yeah. So he had messaged me, and I sent him a selfie. I still have it on my phone. I don't want to name the person. I said, all good, bro, but little did he know the hand was broken, like you couldn't see the rib. And George, I I don't know if it's, I'm pretty sure it's not illegal or whatever it is, BPC 157. People talk about this a lot now. Like the Wolverine drug helps you recover and heal. So for 7 weeks, I injected BPC into my rib. I injected BPC into my hand.
I can't believe you put it in your hand, bro.
Yeah, so I would go like this. I would make this little thing and I would inject it right into there.
I was thinking about, because I hurt my hand on one of those punch things like a couple months ago. I hit one of those stupid things and I missed it and I fucking hit my hand was swollen, dog.
So I'd obviously talked to George. George was my head coach, and you know I told him kind of what was going on and showed him that I could breathe and I was still in really good shape from the fight. I was injured, but I was my fitness was still good. And he was like, look, you know, let's not pull out. Let's do it. Let's see what you can do. But, you know, if we get to a point where you can't train properly, you can't hit pads properly, I'm not going to let you fight. And, so I trained for that fight. Didn't really grapple. My hand was broken. My rib was fucked. I hit pads. I did light sparring. I did fitness. I was in still phenomenal shape, to be honest. And I remember he told me, he was like, hey, if you can't punch the pad with your right hand, he was like, if you can't punch the pad with your right hand, like 2 weeks before the fight, you're not fighting. So then that session came, and he was like, you need to hit. He's like, you got to hit it. And, of course, I was like, all right, little bit. And then he's like, you got to punch. And I remember it was like 6 weeks after I broke my hand, and I punched the pad. And, I did it. And I went. I remember you came to corner me in Tokyo. And I remember you were against it, but obviously we, like, talked, as you should. You know, like, friends should kind of hold each other.
It's crazy. You didn't even have your corner for that fight. Like George couldn't go. Something happened with George, and I was like, that's how it is over there.
But it was a crazy thing. But you know, I was like, man, like this is a great opportunity, and I went and I fought great. But in that fight, I broke my nose and I broke my foot.
That's when you started doing the meditation app, right?
Yeah, I started meditating a lot.
I remember you meditated right before you went out. I thought it was pretty wild, but you were like very calm, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know that was a close fight. I also decision in that fight. You know, I think I did well. There's more I could have done. I think if I had been grappling in that camp, I would have been more confident to grapple. But I was just, you know, whatever. But my striking was good, and I felt good.
Did we stay 2 days after? Because we saw Shintaro. Remember when did we leave?
Bro. Shintaro took us out after.
When did Shintaro take us out?
He took us out after,
fight
bro.
Day?
No, after that. We had beers. I remember in the room. Yeah, Shintaro came.
But I thought when did we go home? Didn't we go home right after the fight?
Bro, so.
I remember we went up with your friends. Remember your friends in the after party?
Yeah, bro.
Wait, so when we went out with Shintaro, did you have a broken nose already?
So he went out to dinner. Yeah, bro. We went out after the fight.
We went to Tapanaki or whatever.
Yeah.
We saw the real shit.
Yeah, so we went out. We had some beers. My nose was broken. And, we went out that night. We went up with my friends. And remember, we went to go party, dog. We partied for a long time, dog. And our flight was at like 8 in the morning. So you got to be at the airport like 6 in the morning.
Who were your friends, dog? Who were those guys? They took us out. That was wild, dog.
Yeah, that was wild. We had a wild time, man. I had a broken nose. So we were enjoying it. We had a good time. And we went. I had to go home and try to sleep for a few hours. You didn't sleep, bro. You came back. I remember this, dog.
I came back buzzing, dog. I was scared to come back because I was in the NFC hotel. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm rolling back up. I hung out with your friends, bro, and they hooked me up, dog. I'll just put it like this. And then they put me in a cab. They're like, don't worry, we're not gonna let you miss your flight. And they put me in a cab back to the hotel, and you're taking a shower, and I'm like, yo, and I came back buzzing, dog.
I remember you were just buzzing, bro. And I remember we went to
Brad fought that day. We were watching Brad's fight on the phone, dog, at the airport. Brad was
we were
fighting
walking
in Australia.
you remember my foot was broken, so we were like late for the flight or like the connecting flight, and I was like, yo, you got to get him a wheelchair, like a golf cart or whatever. And so I was like hobbling, you like were running, and then my foot was broken, so I couldn't run. My nose was fucked up. I remember we were sitting. I still remember this. We got on the plane. I think you were sitting behind me or right in front of me.
I think I got COVID that trip, dog. Bro, I got COVID. You know, after that
trip. This was like 2019 or something.
Dog, yes. That's when COVID first started kicking. That was October of 2019. Bro, I was sick for like a month after that. Because you know when you party and you travel, it's not a good combination, dog. And
we went straight party travel.
I went on a big bender, bro.
Yeah, that was
no
funny,
sleep
dog.
for like 2 days. And then the flight was the worst flight I've ever taken in my life. And I never forget coming on that plane, dog, and kind of coming down. I'm like, oh, no. This is going to be the end of the world, dog. And we're taking off. I had no water, and I was in the middle, bro.
I remember this.
I was in the middle seat. It was like an 8-hour flight, dog.
You're just sitting there, like, hands in your lap.
I was so sad.
Trying to keep it together. At the end of the day, bro, I had, like, I mean, kind of just even to wrap up that story, I never told that story just because, you know.
That's a wild
whatever.
Time,
a lot of my friends know it, but yeah, it was part of my story. It's part of my journey. And
how did you make weight? I forgot. What did we make weight for Japan? What did we do? The Vivoto sauna? What did we do? I forgot. Were you on? I think you might have already been.
I made 125 pounds. That was
You used
not
to make
easy.
125 pounds easy though. Didn't you just like wake up on? I forgot.
Nah,
Yo,
I
how
don't
did
wake
you
up on
make
weight. Definitely not.
How did we cut weight? How come I don't remember the sauna?
Oh no, this was one, so we had to weigh in at 61.
Oh, so you didn't have to. So you just
But
did,
we
like, a
still
little
did. We
workout.
still did sauna, but that was still even the tricky day. They do like people don't know you have to move up a weight class, and they do hydration tests.
You
I
gotta
made it. I
hold
made
your
it easy.
pee.
No, I made it easy that day. I can't remember what we did, but
It was
yeah,
just you
you
and
fight
Bam
at
on the
61,
card, right?
Yeah, we fought up a weight class. Yeah, it's all a bit vague at this point. I don't remember, but
Man, I remember.
yeah, it's
the
funny
weight
you
cut.
think about those things, but all the things I obviously remember about the trip was, man, within. Oh, so even my point. So this is how I started
I
talking
don't
about
remember when we saw Shintaro. We saw him right
after. No, we
after
had
the
beers
fight.
after. I got a picture of us. My
We went
nose
out
was
to
broken.
dinner, no?
Yeah, we went to dinner and then we
You
went.
two, and then we
yeah.
met up with the other guys
Yeah,
after.
we met with the other guys.
Oh,
But I remember this. So like
that was a big night, bro.
to tie up this whole story. So I remember this. So that was the lead up to that fight.
They broke your nose backstage, bro. Are you gonna say that?
Yeah. So
Yo.
that was the lead up to the story. So once my nose broke in that fight, and we came out, and
not good.
and I lie down, and they were like, "Hey, let's go to the hospital." And no one knew this, but I was just in the hospital 2 months before for the punctured lung and all this stuff, and my hand. I did not want to go to a hospital. There's no way. And I also know that my adrenaline's gonna come down. So if you're gonna do it now. So I was like, no, put it back now. And they're like, okay. And they lie me down like this. They lie me down. And
Dog, I had to hold your feet, bro.
No, so I remember-
Who held
so-
your feet and who held your head?
So I remember the first time, like you're kind of holding me down a little bit, like doctor's holding me. They grabbed my nose, and the good thing about a big nose was it was a good handle. It's like
Yeah.
a rock climbing grip, you know.
Oh my god.
So we start.
She
I'm lying
fucking-
there. I'm lying there, and they start moving. I'm just like ah.
No, you
ah.
screamed.
I'm
You screamed like
screaming.
you were giving birth, dog. Like ah!
So
And then that's when I was like, all right, I gotta hold this motherfucker.
no, so it took. So they were trying it. They were moving it. And I was just like, I've had a lot of painful things. It was probably the most painful thing I ever dealt with. They're moving it.
The way you squirmed and screamed, dog.
So they're moving it. I'm squirming, and then they let go, and I look at you. And that was when I think that was like 2 separate times. I look at you, and I was like, "Yo, is it good?" And you're like, "Nah." And I was like, "Fuck." They're like, "Okay, we go to the hospital." I said, "All right, one more try, one more. I don't want to go to the hospital."
That's when we held you. I was like, all
So
right,
that's
I
when
guess I
the
got
nurses
it.
came. Yeah, that's when everyone came. And my legs, my arms, it all held me. And they're pulling it. I'm just like, I'm screaming. And all of a sudden you hear this pop. And my eyes puffed up. And they let go. And I sat up and I looked. And I remember looking at the nurses. And it was like these Japanese nurses. It was very like.
No, bro, they didn't even look real. This shit was like out of a movie, dog. It looked like they were wearing costumes, right? The way they were dressed like the people in movies, dog.
Yeah, so
from the 1990s. It was crazy.
So it popped. My eyes puffed up. I sat up like kind of teary-eyed, and I looked at them and I said, "Okay," and they go, "Ooh." They gave like one of these, you know, and it was back straight. It was so funny, bro. Like I got pictures of when it was broken. I got pictures after, and like, I mean, I couldn't breathe anyway.
Patreon version.
I don't know, dog, but
Yo, we could do a Patreon episode and just talk some real business.
yeah, we should. We always talk about it, man. Some of the stories we've had, some of the stories we lived, like cutting around Asia, like figuring it out, like fighting, partying, like.
Oh, I was gonna say, man, like, yo, all the corners. So, like, yo, you've been with me to, you've cornered me in China. You see me fight in Singapore and my favorite. What's your favorite fight moment of all? Because they're always different, right? What was your favorite moment, like, of just Asia and fighting? Like, what's your favorite moment in Asia? Do you have one? I'll tell you my favorite moment ever. Right after.
Fuck,
Mine is so easy, but it's not. It's very unexpected, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Favorite moment is super hard. I really have to kind of think about that. Yeah, one of my favorite like funny moments was when I fought in that little shitty Muay Thai stadium in Sewit.
Oh, that's up there.
And then my leg was getting beat up, and I was a bit bloody. I had like a big cut in my head.
I got that video, dog. I made you go. My video is the most viral in corner, dog. I was like, this is crazy. You get the Thai people yelling at you, Roger, and I just get the phone, dog, and I just put it in your face, and you're smiling with that big ass cut, dog. And they're putting a glob, bro. Fucking, that was the most gnarly, bro. When you got that knockout, you knocked that dog. That was, what's the name of that stadium? That was the most. Oh, that's the ghetto of the ghetto of the ghetto, dog.
But it was fun. But
and I drove back. I almost fell off your motorbike coming back.
Well, one of my most
drunk.
one of the funniest parts of that moment was like, I was like cut up and then knocked the guy out, and you see the video later, you got so excited, you jumped up. You jumped up and you fell. I've never seen it like this. Like I've never seen like in my life, dog. He jumped up, fell over the ropes, swung forward, swung back. You knocked Roger's phone out of his thing. Broke his phone. And then he jumped in the ring so happy. And then was fucked up. It was the last fight of the night. So after like everyone left, I was getting like stitched up. The guy was like smoking a cigarette, like stitching me up, and everyone left. And then you were like, yo, I'm going to drive you home. But you were so drunk, and it was so scary. It was like
I was going to say I fell off the back of your bike, but I drove you.
Yeah, you drove me. You drove me, bro.
Because you had a broken hand. You fucked.
No, I didn't break my hand in that fight. I broke my hands a lot of fights, but not that fight. That was just a funny moment. That was just, even like the shitty little dingy stadiums.
Bro.
Yeah, just have good times. I mean, we've had some really crazy times. I have to think about funny stories, but there's been a lot of really funny moments.
Man, there's some great ones. My favorite is Full Metal Dojo against the Brazilian dog.
Yeah.
Sharing the card with Top Noi.
Yeah.
Everybody was at that fucking fight. It was
I made a good vlog of that.
Yes, you need to put that on YouTube and send it to me, dog. Yeah. Bro, and JP, that's where the JP documentary came leading up. JP, that was my best run of fighting. That was like my prime time of my career, dog. I felt like mentally, and I had just come off my 2 losses in PXC. I was super down, but bro,
nervous,
that fight. After that, when that fight, and dog, I fought a black belt in my first main event. I was pretty nervous of that guy, dog. He was fucking jacked and good. He was like a world champion black belt. And I remember telling John Nutt the fight before, I was like, I don't think this guy can wrestle, dog. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna wrestle fuck this guy, But watching the fight the other day, I'm like, fuck, I could have knocked that guy out for sure. There's another fight I should have gotten knocked out. Anyways, bro, my favorite moment is after they called my name, dog. That was a hard ass fight. I was losing the first round. And bro, my experience, dog. That's my first time like experience kicked in because, bro, that guy took my back. And like I said, whoever takes the back first loses in MMA. That guy took my back, dog. And I'll never forget, Major Overall fought that black belt. And Major told me before he knocked him out, he heard his heart beating on his back. And he was like, Major was freaking out. And he told that when he heard the guy's back beating, he's like, oh, just relax. This guy's freaking out. And that guy took my back in like a fucking minute of the fight. And like, you're fighting this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. That's the only place you don't want to be. He fucking caught my kick, took me down. I'm like super off. That floor was like mad soft. I remember that fight was like really flat in the beginning. And he had my back and I heard his fucking heart chest on my back like going crazy. And I was like, oh, just chill. And I just chilled that whole fight and let him beat himself, bro. Yeah. But it was the end. When I seen all the boys and when they're about to say my name and I start going, lads, 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 and I turned around and everybody was doing the lads, dog.
Yeah.
Bro, Dan Hooker was there. And every time I got into every position of that fight, there was one of my boys. Because this is Full Metal Dojo when like everybody's on the fucking
stand around the cage. Yeah.
Everybody's standing on the cage. So like I remember I have pictures of like Dan Hooker cornering me in one part of the cage. Luke cornering me on one part of the cage. You and Ramos are there in one part of the cage. Everybody was there, dog. George, Brad. And then we went out. We went to the food market before in the day.
No, that was
Even
great.
my girl was there, dog. That's crazy. Even she was there.
No, I got the vlog from that trip, man. That was a good.
And then Luke, dog. Luke was hilarious. And then Luke saw that I was scared of the guy, bro. Because my opponent kept looking at me, bro. We were backstage, and my opponent, he was like this. He's just staring, mean mugging me the whole time backstage. And then Luke couldn't find me, and he's like, he's like, why are you in here? And he's like, yo, you don't want that guy staring at you? He was like making fun of me, dog. He's like, I didn't like the guy, and the guy was freaking me out,
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, but that was my favorite moment. All of us, dog. I think you met your chick that night, dog. You met that one. You had that was a great night, dog. That was crazy, bro.
Yeah, we had good times, man. It's hard to pick.
That was the night. I might have to take that out too, but.
Yeah.
I got parents and shit, kids. This is how it always goes with the podcast, bro. Right when it gets good, it's like when we gotta wrap this shit up, dog.
Yeah, but you didn't even tell people. We haven't even talked about my whole journey of how I got here, bro. I was already in Miami for 4 days, but we accidentally went on a little bender. We didn't do any of the things we didn't. Yo, I was traveling around America. Listen,
okay, yeah. How did you get? Oh yeah, so yeah, you're fucking. When you were visiting America, when's the last time you left Thailand for more than 2 weeks or a week?
Oh, never, dog. I mean, like over the past long time, every time I've left, I haven't always had the opportunity to like stay for a long time. It was just always going maybe to the East Coast. So this time I took a little longer trip. I was in a few weeks in Denver visiting family. Went to Arizona to visit some friends, and then I wanted to come to Florida. Both my parents live here in different parts of Florida. And I've always, bro, we've been, the weird thing about being friends when you meet in a place like Thailand, I have friends from all over the world, but I've never been to their hometowns.
You never see them in their
Yeah, you're like one of my closest friends ever, and like I've never like been to Miami to come visit you.
We've been to China.
No, we've had amazing experiences. So I was like, Yeah, I want to go visit Emily in Miami, and then my whole big thing. I wanted to go surf in Costa Rica, so I was gonna go to Miami, come visit you, and I had some things I wanted to see. I had some like opportunities I wanted to like kind of look at. I wanted to come here do the podcast, and then I was gonna go to Costa Rica.
Yo,
and,
guys, we were here for 3 days. We didn't podcast shit. We were up at 4 o'clock every night.
That was so funny. Well, that was the thing about it. We were so excited to see each other. We hadn't seen each other in years. As soon as we went out to dinner, we were like, oh, let's just go out. Oh, let's just go out here. Let's go out there. Yeah, let's go out there.
3-day bend.
Even during the day, didn't do all the things we wanted to do, but I ended up going to Costa Rica to surf for a week, which was like amazing. I was like a really good recharge, refresh, and then I left my bag here, so I knew I had to come back to Miami. I flew in last night. I leave in a few hours, so I was like, Emily, we gotta sit down. We gotta get this. And
we fucked up. We went to that Oh, you got to see me come. How bad? And yo, you've always 2 things. You wanted to see me in Miami. You wanted to do a podcast in person. Hey, but we did a lot. You saw me do stand up twice.
Yeah, we hear, dog.
Two super shit shows too, dog. Like
but I think that's what part of it is, bro.
You saw me at the Full Metal Dojo of comedy, dog. So now when you see me at the 1FC, I can't wait. But you got to see, the grassroots as it gets, bro.
Yeah,
and you saw the same comedians too. How funny, bro! Like the same 2 guys.
Yeah, no, I'm super proud. Like, bro, like it's really like that comedy scene. I remember when you were in Bangkok, and everyone's always like, Emilo's the funniest person we ever met. Everyone always said that. And we got to Bangkok, you started writing, and you would send me these voice messages. You're like, yo, I wrote a joke. And you would tell me, like, randomly in the middle of the day, I would get the joke, and it would just crack up dying. And then, like, I would remind you of little things, and you would keep, like, adding to it. And you did it, bro. You came to America, and you told me the day after you landed, you went to an open mic.
What's a mic?
And,
September 22nd, dog.
So, bro, just, like, sense of, like, pride. I don't care how small these open mics were, like, shitty, but I know that that's the journey. I know that's part of it. It's just the same thing, like, if you want to fight here, you got to fight here. It's the same thing. If you want to do comedy here, yeah. So I loved it. I enjoyed it. And obviously you were playing to me a lot, so I was cracking up. Like, I was just dying laughing, bro. And this fucking guy, man, like, he's so, like, clever with it. Like, wrote a joke from the day before. We went out partying, and we had some funny shit happen. And the next day, he, like, had a joke about it. And, like, I think other people there were like, what's this guy talking about? But I was just, like, dying laughing. So, that was, like, a big, big moment. And just, like, a proud friend moment, dude.
Yeah,
like a proud friend, like, see you do it. I got to go see you coaching at Boxer. Like, that gym is, like, super cool. There's lots of cool things happening there. Like, I was, like, super proud, man. Like, I came here. You know, life's always hard. You try to go around and figure out where you fit in, what you want to do. But, man, like, go see you doing comedy. I would never do that shit. You know, like.
You could, dog, because you're funny and you get it. Like, I don't know. You're funny, dog. You could definitely write for me.
I'll be your manager. I could be your manager.
Clever and. You can give me, because I don't, bro. I'm so burnt to a crisp that we know so many. We've had so many memories.
Might have been those nights in fucking Tokyo. I mean,
yeah. No, but like, I always meet people, and that's one thing they always like. You got to tell stories, so I need to get comfortable on stage where I can learn how to make the stories funny.
Your stories are like ridiculous. Like, bro, I've known you for so long,
and you've seen them though. You've seen them in first.
No, but I've seen a lot of the stories. But then, like, I've known you for so long, and you'll tell me a story from like back in the day when you were running around the streets, you know, like in Miami, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And you remember the guys' names. You remember like how much he ripped you off. You remember like all these like details, and I'm just like, it's like wild. And yeah, it was super proud friend moment. Come here and see all that. And the gym Boxer is like a great place. Like, a lot of people doing different things, and you're the only MMA coach there. You know, that's like a big deal. I know sometimes like it's easy to compare to other people, what other people are doing, but like I was super proud, you know. And and then so I flew back from Costa Rica, and I was like I didn't know how long I'd be in Costa Rica, and I was like, yo, Emilo, I'll be there for like 24 hours. We got a podcast. And then even went to bed last night. We ended up staying a bit late last night. And I was like, yo,
late last night, dog.
I know.
I had a hard time waking up. I was like,
I know. I was like, set your alarm, bro. I was like, set your alarm. We got to do this. We got to go soon. You know, you do another thing you're doing, bro. You're gonna go. You're color commentator for this MMA show. They got the weigh-ins today, so we were packing it in, bro. We're packing it in. I'm super happy. My trip to America was good. Trip to Miami was good. Go surfing Costa Rica was sick. It was really good.
It's your family. Brother graduated.
Yeah, my brother graduated law school. I saw family. I saw some friends I haven't seen. That's a hard thing about living abroad for so long. I miss a lot of family events.
Yeah, dog.
My friends have kids. I've never met their kids, so I went to go see them, stay with them, and tell some stories from living on the road. And
it's funny though.
Yeah, it's all good.
Bro, all right, so when you're living on the road, you're like, oh, I get to miss all these family events. But then after you're here for a while, you're like, fuck, I missed where I didn't have to go to these goddamn family events, bro. I love being in Thailand. No. I love being broke in Thailand. Like, oh, I can't, sorry. Fulanito's getting married. Oh, sorry, I'm in Thailand. Oh,
Fulanito.
Oh, it's your fucking. It's because when you're back home, it's always somebody's fucking birthday, bro. I don't give a fuck about your birthday, bro. I don't want to go, dog. But that's what being a good friend is. Now I'm learning, dog. That's nobody wants to go to these people's birthdays, but that's how you show your loyal. Like you gotta do it. You gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Living overseas, my bad, I cut you off. Living overseas, it gets easier to flake. So then when you get back home, you got to be more responsible.
I just didn't always have the ability, bro. We were broke fighters for 10 years. And so it was an easy thing to say, oh, I'm far away. But the truth was I didn't have money to fly home.
That's the thing.
And, now I'm in a position where I'm a bit, I have a bit more ability to do that. So I've made a point. I've told my family, I've told my friends, I'm going to make more of a point to come for these events, to come see these people and do these things. So
yeah, you know what it is, dog? Money buys freedom, dog.
It's freedom, yeah,
and,
for sure.
When you got any advice I would give anybody coming up, like, yo, whatever you're doing, just learn how to monetize that shit and make that money, because it's not all about money, but it's good when your fucking brother has a wedding or something is happening, you can just buy a ticket and go to where you want to go.
They say
and
money,
that's the hard part about being abroad.
Yeah, but it's not all about money. But like, if you want to do these things and spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, it costs money. So anyone that wants to be like a broke hippie and say like, oh, like money doesn't matter, that's not true. Okay, you don't need a Ferrari and you don't need a massive mansion, but you know, if you want to live and do different things, and of course you could stay in your own little circle, but if you want to travel, you have friends all over the world, you want to see them and make these special moments. I spent a lot of money on this trip. Yeah. I flew to Colorado, I flew to Arizona, I flew to Florida.
Bro, what a mission, dog.
I had to rent cars, I took flights.
And all your bags on you, so it's like kind of like doing like Thai style, but in America.
Yeah, I mean, I had a big ass massive bag. It was a little tricky just because I went to China for a business trip right before, so I had like business clothes. I had like nice clothes. I had party clothes. I went golfing. I had golf clothes. I was going surfing. I had to bring like a surf clothes. So,
did you watch movies on the flight from America to from China to America?
I can't remember the Chinese.
Can you sleep on flights?
I sleep pretty good.
I can't sleep on flights.
Glass of wine, I'll be all right. But I'm small, I just curl up in a ball. But no, it was a good trip, and like the money will come back. Like I spent a lot of money on this trip.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money on this trip, but I like the memories and just the connections to like a lot of these families and friends that I've had for a long time is more than that money.
No, it's always worth it. Like, bro, I just came back from Africa and like I spent all my money in Africa, but man, I'm still like kind of making back from the Africa trip, but it was worth it, dog,
yeah, for sure. And that stuff comes back, and eventually you obviously need to save and you need to do different things as we get older, and yeah, honestly, one of my favorite things to do is have a good meal with good friends. And sometimes that's one of my favorite things to do. And
I agree. Yo, if dinner's at Fatty's with the boys was my favorite.
Good meal with good friends is something I'll always cherish. And if I have to fly, across the world and I have the ability to do it, I'm super grateful for it. Like, man, you can like stress about the money, you can stress about this, stress about that, but at the end of the day, I'm sitting in an airport and I'm like super grateful for the ability to do that. I'm grateful for a lot of things, but the ability to travel, the ability to see my friends, and see my friends that are doing well. So that stuff comes back.
What a life, huh? Yo, UFCs. I was just thinking, I've been to UFC in Vegas. I've been to UFC in Singapore. And then I've been to the UFC in New Zealand.
Jacksonville.
Like you've been to UFCs. You've been to UFCs in a few different continents, huh?
I got to go to Australia. I got to go to Australia.
Oh, man, you got to go to Australia.
When Volk fought Islam for the first time in Perth, that was like...
Oh, my God. You were in Perth for the win
Perth.
when he beat Islam, dog. What was that? What was it like? Oh, and then, bro, they fight, and then, like, oh, how cool is it when you're fighting? It's like 6 p.m. and you're hanging out.
I have videos of the crowd from, like, because he didn't get the decision, but everyone thought he won that fight. Dog. But, like, and he ended up at the end of the round on top of him, ground and pounding him. That arena was just electric. I get chills thinking about it. That was, like, so special. And for Volk, everywhere he's fought, he's always been the bad guy. He's always been the enemy.
Yeah.
So for him to fight, get his homecoming, do it against, Volk was... number one at that time, pound for pound, or number two? Islam
probably
was
number two because Islam, but when he
might have been one
after he fought Islam. I think they made him number one.
I think they switched. He lost. Yeah, I can't remember the order of it, but yeah, just that moment was super special. And I don't get to go to all the UFCs. It's hard to kind of travel from Thailand, but that was like such a special moment, and it was even cooler too. That was BangTao was already open. And going all the pre-fight videos and all the stuff in the weigh-ins and everything.
Training there.
It was showing BangTao, it was showing the gym. And even that was a cool moment for me too, man. Like walking around the arena, people came up to me and goes, "Hey, that's the guy from BangTao." And that was super cool.
Bro, you guys been a few. You got a commercial. Izzy BangTao.
Yeah.
Bro,
I went to
BangTao's been
UFC
on
in New York. I went to UFC in New York when Izzy fought Pereira for the first time.
Oh,
that was really
I
cool.
can't believe I missed you that time.
I was there for that.
Oh, and Brad too, bro.
Brad fought on that event.
Yeah,
that
was a rough night for
special.
the boys, you know.
Yeah, but man, that was really cool. Brad brought me out when they did the weigh-ins at Radio City Music Hall.
Oh, you came out with him.
I walked out with him. That was a cool moment.
Oh,
that was a good
that's
moment.
right.
That was a good moment for me.
Yo, I never done that yet, man.
No, that was a dream. That was a dream. That was a dream come true, you know. So.
Oh, I did. Kai did it for me. Kai brought me out for the New Zealand cards. I got to hold this stuff, you know, which is amazing.
Bag boy.
That's my favorite.
All right, we got it.
I don't want to fight. I don't want to go to the UFC. I just want to fucking bag boy somebody in the UFC, dog, you know?
Yeah, listen. I know, and you do too. We don't got to name names. I know some unqualified bag boys that are in the UFC, bro. You're like, yo, you and me been like training our whole lives, like fighting like shitty places, and we see like some people who just like, I don't know, took a picture with the right person, they fucking said the right thing, and they end up cornering in the UFC, and I'm just like, man, I got to do what that guy does, you know. But
I see some.
It's a weird world, bro. It's a weird world.
I see some cornermen cornering fighters where I'm like,
corner.
There's nothing you can tell that man that you're about to corner, dog. You've never. That's the thing. I was talking about this in the last podcast, bro. It stifles my brain. And you know what it is? It's one thing when I see, I don't want to say phony, but like when I see like false prophet. How do you call it? Like just like pretender coaches. I mean, I call them pad holders because you can just be like a really good pad holder. And you can look like a better coach.
We should have done that, dog.
Yeah, because I'm not a good pad holder. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Like, sometimes and my memory is shit. I be forgetting.
But you know how to fight.
I know how to fight, dog. And I know like things like we were talking about before, like the back take thing. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Like I know things that
when you've been in the fire, dog. Yeah, for sure.
I know things I can show you. What do I got to offer? Pain experience. Ain't nothing pretty, dog. Sure. I ain't gonna show you how to do the wheel kick perfectly. There's probably 1,000 people who can show you how to do an arm bar.
Sure.
Probably better than my arm bar.
Sure.
But I know how to fight, dog. And sometimes I see these cornermen and I'm in there and I'm like, yo, because they're not going to be able to tell the guy, yo, don't fucking go crazy in the first round trying to submit this guy. You're going to blow out your arms. Hey, be careful with the submissions you go for. I don't even like Kimuras. Why are you going to hold a Kimura and blow out your forearms, you know? Going for a triangle, blow out your legs. Try to hold it. I've held the front. I've just been so. But then you know what bothers me? I don't care when these pad holder guys get to the UFC and they're adults. It scares me when they coach kids.
Yeah.
And these goddamn buffoons are out there coaching kids.
Yeah.
That's what really freaks me out. Because it's like now.
It's a tough thing. And not everyone's going to like what we're saying. But it's like, do you have to like have fought to be a good coach?
This is always a recurring.
I don't think so. But if you were never in those moments, or just even like competed in any martial art or competed in anything in your life, you know, like how do you... Man, I wasn't the best fighter, but I went out there and I fought.
But you know how to, and when you corner though, you know how to corner.
No,
you know from the mistakes. You've seen me do so much stupid shit in my fights that you know.
No, but I won some, I lost some. I've learned from my wins. I've learned from my losses. I've been there with my friends and try to pass on to other people. Like, hey, man, in this fight, I fucked this up. Don't do what I did. And but what are you gonna do? It's a weird world. We joke about it all the time. But you know, look at us, Momo, sitting here. You know, but you know, but. We got to get out of here. We're gonna be late.
All right, yeah. All right.
Damn. We could talk for hours. Maybe I'll fly back again. But you gotta listen. You gotta bump me up. You gotta bump me up to first class for this next one, dog. Listen, bro. You fly me here you're flying.
No, my goal is to have everybody on the private jet with me when I'm doing my Netflix special, dog.
All right.
That's the goal.
Well, I came all the way here.
We're gonna get on the PJ one way or the other. We didn't make it on Volk's or Izzy's PJ. We're gonna make it on my PJ.
I came all the way here for the fucking HoneyBadger hour. I had to pay for my own I wouldn't even listen. I was like, yo, can you pay for my Uber? He's like, yo, Uber. He's like, I ain't paying for that shit. He's like, buy me dinner. And I was like, and I bought him dinner. I'm paying to be on this podcast, man. I don't know what's going on. Listen, I think you figured it out, dog. Listen, hey, give me some dap on that. You figured that out.
My dog, thank you, my brother. Oh my gosh, I gotta fix these goddamn ladders. All right, so where can the people find you if they want to go train? They want to go check out the most elite gym in the world. I was gonna say the most biggest gym in Thailand. No, the most elite gym in the world. How do they find you? Where do they go? What do they say?
I think a lot of people know how to find us now. You guys find me on Instagram, Alex Schild. You'll find us. Our gym is BangTao, Muay Thai, and MMA. In Phuket, Thailand. It's a great time. Like I said, we're not trying to trick anybody. If you want to come check us out, come check us out. If it's a spot for you, I think you'll have a good time. If not, we're not mad. BangTao Fight Store. We got all new kind of stuff, kind of launching all the time. You know, we want to make a lot of gear. Maybe that's a whole other thing we could have talked about. We want to make clothing and gear that we want to wear, not just in the gym, but outside the gym. So yeah, check us out. We got new stuff coming all the time. Super excited. And we'll see you guys in Phuket.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, HoneyBadger Hour. That was a big one. Good times. We gotta go. We are out.